and we're going to be revisiting the periodicals. We're going to be revisiting. We're going to be bullshitting. We're going to take forever to do this. This is the Imperial Schools of Honor podcast. I am Josh Folan.
And I'm Jay Baxtron.
And we're going to be bullshitting about the formative years of console gaming as we revisit the periodicals that covered it again. We are reading yet another relic of antiquated video game literature today, smashing mad chuckling cherry squeezes while we sugar rush our way through the pages of GamePro issue 8. The link to that is in the show notes, as it always is. Please rate and review the podcast if you like what we're doing. It makes us feel really good about ourselves. And what are we jamming on now? Jay, what are you jamming on now?
All right, for the last time, you'll probably hear me talk about it. Outriders. I think I'm done with it. I've long since beat the main story, all the side quests, the side expeditions. Like, I've gotten
Isn't the multi thing the fucking? Isn't it like procedurally generated almost with the multiplayer stuff?
Well, the multiplayer stuff, it's cool, but it's like they have these expeditions that you have to get progressively harder to get better gear. And I've done that. I've gotten to the highest tier of that. So there's only one final thing, which is the Eye of the Storm. And it says that content is reserved for groups. And so I've tried it and I clearly can't do it by myself. And I try to queue in and wait for somebody to join me and just not start the mission and just wait for somebody to just match make. And so that happened once and we both failed and they left. So I was like, darn it. I need to if I don't have a team with me to do this together, it's not going to happen. So, but otherwise I'm done with the game. I'm bored doing the same exhibitions over and over. I've done them a ton of times. I've gotten all legendary gear. So unless they come out with some DLCs, I think I'm done.
I think it's pretty reliable that they will do that.
We'll see. I'm over it in the meantime though. It's just the replayability. I've played it out. I think it's done. Sure. And then after that, oh man, Maneater. So I don't know if you remember this game, Shark game. It's a shark action RPG. It's so fun. So story time, buckle in. About a year ago, right before the Series X and S were released. Obviously, I work at Microsoft. I was one of the testers playing the Series S before it came out. So I'm playing this new software before everybody else. I'm loving it. And internally, I also got to test this game, the Series X version of this game. And so I was loving this game. Clearly, I couldn't talk about it on the podcast at the time, because it was under development. But you're a shark. It's an RPG. You're underwater. You have to level up. You're getting things. The graphics
you are
are
the
amazing.
shark.
You are the shark.
Yeah, remember, I saw this. Yeah, I remember seeing this.
But I feel they made it was at the time. The shark and underwater graphics were really stellar and really realistic, but the humans and above ground was very cartoony. It was an interesting contrast. But this time they made those more realistic, so it makes more sense on it, I think. But it's on Game Pass now, and amazingly enough, even though I'm playing on my own Series X now, my game was automatically loaded, so I was still an adult shark on my progress. And the graphics are amazing. It's just a blast. So I highly, highly recommend, man. You're an apex predator. It's something different.
I remember being intrigued by it for sure. And yeah, it's. I can only imagine the amount of thought that went behind how realistic should we make this? With that being the motif, and you're because you're eating innocent bystanders essentially, right? And it's not they're not
that's not your whole goal, but that's definitely part of it.
Part of it, right? Yeah.
Goals, yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting that that definitely intrigues me more that it's skewed more towards realism for sure. If I'm going to play a game like that, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I said, I was intrigued even when it was cartoony. So, yeah, but I never got around to playing it. That's cool.
But it's Game Pass, so there you go. Now,
yeah, I'll have to. I just downloaded another one. I fucking in the middle of this thing. I can't even kind of have time. I haven't even touched Subnautica, let alone anything else. But I was listening to a podcast a day or two ago, and they mentioned something that I was like, "Oh, that's I gotta try." Just download it for later. It's saved, so I don't forget about it. So I'll probably do that with that.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. So yeah, and then of course I gotta say, as you can see from my background, shockingly, Rocket League. Have you played this game before? Like, what is your
Is it
experience with
is
this?
this the thing that you were is this not the thing that you were saying like the dodgeball thing? I'm assuming no, right?
No, no.
No, no,
So
no.
that's Knockout City, I think,
Knockout
and
City.
that's a blast. I still play that from time to time with Zion. But so on a whim, I downloaded this. I can't remember because it's something I've heard about. Clearly, this is a game that's been around. Rocket League. It's basically soccer. It's kind of like, okay, the website describes it as high-powered hybrid of arcade-style soccer and vehicular mayhem. So it's kind of like a car version of Griffball from Halo 5, which I don't know if you remember. I've talked about it, but it's kind of like something that I said should be an esport. I was like, it's so fun. This should be an esport. This is an esport. It's basically that only with a car. And I played it with Zeke and Zion, and like you're on a team. Like we did 3 versus 3. Obviously, you're trying to knock the ball in the goal. You have like boost in the game. You can do jumps. Like it's shockingly fun. Like we were all just surprised. Like it, but in the game, like it has its own tab that says esports. Like that's how you know it's like a big time thing. But it's just, I can't say enough about it. Like it's couch co-op. It's one of those things where I'd seen it before, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's not really my style, but I played it and it's a blast. It's on my home screen now.
Just has the right mechanics, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just really fun.
And I haven't. I could like that's something I wouldn't mind having. It's like just like a game I can just fuck around and play. So I don't have it's either Subnautica or which is like a completely immersive,
Mhm.
all-consuming like fucking rat hitting the lever experience. Going out with the resource gathering and stuff and building and shit. So having something a little more mindless would be nice.
This is fun. It's really fun. I highly recommend. And I think it's one of those free to play games. I'm pretty sure. So
Okay.
yep.
Word, word.
That's about it, man. What about you? What have you been jamming on?
Uh, Nothing for the last week, but prior to that, Subnautica is all, as you might imagine. Like, I mean, it's further and deeper. The story keeps getting better. Like, I hit a point where it tied into. So I think I told you previously that it's completely. It happens in the same story world as the first one, but it's a completely like the character there's no over or seemed there was seemingly no overlap at all, and I don't know what again they don't give you percentages thankfully, but I'm assuming at least halfway through it probably, and I hit I got to a point where it tied into the first game story in like a really really unexpected and obscure way. Where like I bumped into this thing, this aspect of of the second one story a couple of times, and it didn't even occur to me. And then the right clue popped up in addition to a new bump into it, and I was like, oh my fucking god, oh my god, that's so fucking good, holy shit. So like, yeah, like I mean it took every smidge of self-control I possess to not late night phone call Jab on the telephone and gush about it, like like it was so fucking good. I was like, I had to like put the controller down. I was like, oh my god, that is such good writing, that's so fucking good, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. So yeah, so fucking cool. So yeah, so that happened. Yeah, that and like if I don't know, I don't know how I could fucking be any more over the moon about it than I already was, but that absolutely did it for me. Um,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, I've said it before. I'll stress it again. Anyone who hasn't played these games, your existence is lesser for it. Like it is, they are fucking unreal. Even Jab, he's such a cunt. I've ever told you how much of a cunt Jab is. He's like, so he's yeah. I mean, I think on some of the side quests or something, I have zero doubt that you've had some exposure since I started playing this to him being like, no, I don't know about it. I've heard it's kind of weak, yada yada yada, and like so I don't know if it was like a week ago, a few days ago or something over last weekend or something. He was watching a friend's dog, so he's staying at their house, and they got a bunch of dough, I guess. So they got this. They have a sick ass gaming desktop at the house, and he had Subnautica. So he's like, he texts me late night one night, and he's just like, he's got the screenshot. It's up, and he's like, just the very beginning of it, and of Sub Zero, and he's like my, explain the story that he got like this sick ass computer, so he's just fucking around with it. I was like, oh, so you're playing? He's like, oh, I'm just like literally just dipping my toe in because it's here, So he like plays it a little bit, and he like said something about like he made some shitty remark about like the tone of an early joke or something, in the writing, and so talking a little bit of shit, and he's like. But we like I was like asked how far he got. I was like, oh, I never got out of the shallows. I just did this night, and then like 2 or 3 days ago, he texts me. He's back at home. He's bought a PC now, and he's got it set up, and Sub-Zero's on the screen, and he's playing. So I'm like, oh, you're fucking playing now. He's like, yeah. And then like last night, he's sending me like long texts of like role playing shit he's doing, how he's like his whole like plan for his first starter base of like how he's limiting himself so he doesn't get entrenched in the early base, so he moves quicker than he doesn't allow himself to get too established in the shallows with this base. No, only building the one room, no plants or growing any sort of sustenance. So like basically pushing himself to build a base somewhere better sooner than you might if you build something that really provides sustenance or whatever in the shallows, So basically the point is he's completely immersed, completely fucking gone, and like just gone, He's like the fucking just like completely gone. He's fucking like goodbye. Like he's gonna be fucking playing the game nonstop now for months. And like he was being such a twat about it, and how he's like, I'm gonna wait till winter. Part of his inclination was that he's like, I don't want to, like I don't want this to happen, Like yeah. I don't want to fall off the deep end on it because whatever he's so busy. But the like fucking the second he fucking got exposure to it, he was like boop, gone. So case in point, I mean, granted, it's not like he needed to be swayed to like the game or anything, but certainly it's some level of demonstration of this one being good, at least as good as the first, because the second he got into it, he was gone, so yeah, it's just so fucking good. And the other thing I haven't played yet. I literally just set it to download yesterday morning before I left for work. But I heard I always thought No Man's Sky was just another FPS. Like I'd heard that name a million times. Do you know anything about that game?
I have not played it. I think I downloaded it, but like never messed around with it. But like it's huge.
Yeah, that's what I was actually listening to the Press B to Cancel podcast now that I think about it, and it was on the list of one of the guys' worst 5 games list. I think it was like number 4 on his list. So it was a funny list because the 4th and 5th games on his list, he was like, you have to play now. Because like his whole thing was with this game, when it first came out, I guess it promised all these things and didn't fulfill any of them. But it's from this indie developer that has like supported the shit out of it over its entire lifespan, and now it is like, I guess, an Unreal game that fulfills all the things that it was supposed to fulfill. But yeah, it's essentially, it sounds to me like a procedurally generated space exploration game. So like you go to planets and there is unique life on every planet. And that was his thing. Like early on, he said there wasn't the kind of variance that it promised and yada, 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 but procedurally generated. So essentially it is like the universe. It is infinite, if you believe the universe is infinite, I guess. And perhaps that's some level of, we don't have proof of that necessarily, but yeah, like it's like, it sounds like kind of Outer Worldsy, but way bigger, and there's also, I guess, a multiplayer component to it that could be kind of interesting. Like it kind of, again, I haven't played it, so this is purely on like interpretation of analysis by someone else. But like one of the gripes was that you couldn't see, it was multiplayer in that all the players could exist in the universe together, and you could cross paths in like the trail that you leave behind you, your wake, I guess. But you could never see another player. Like there was no way to like be in the same place at the same time, I guess, so I don't even know exactly what that, I guess that's been fixed. They kind of alluded to that being fixed, and it's possible now to bump into other people, I guess, in the multiplayer aspect of it. But even the idea that you have this like massive universe, and like, I don't know, that there's some level of like residual evidence of other players having been here, finding their base. I don't even know what it means. You know, again, I like it. They did not really get into the mechanic. I don't even know what your goal is based on what they were talking about. It was just they were talking about the procedurally generated aspect of it, and like how, you know, the world, the planets and the life, like there's life forms, you know, unique life forms to the planet, of course, that has developed on that individual planet, and theoretically there is an infinite versions of what that can be on the planet. You know, it's a crazy concept. It's like a mind-blowing concept. I can't even wrap my mind around the concept of it.
So actually, now that you mention it, first of all, I did not know about the procedurally generated thing,
Yeah.
but I have heard of this because one of the guys that used to be in our old ESO guild, that we started playing Divinity with, he played that game a lot, and he actually created like a Facebook page. I think it was called like One Man Sky, and it was like his like stuff that he found. And I remember thinking like, why is this game so good? So I actually did. I just looked at something. I did play it, but I didn't really know what the goal was. I didn't really look into it.
That's kind
So
of
I was
sounds
just kind of like, what are we
yeah.
doing here? Like,
Right.
so
That's how it sounded. And like, that's honestly what intrigues me. Like, I mean, that's what, you know, that's one of the things I love about Subnautica. And that's what's cool about Outer Worlds is like, you know, you just dropped into this. It is kind of just a sandbox. There's something like, there's a difference between like, there are sandbox games that truly don't have a goal. Like, and it's a completely different thing to have a sandbox world and tell the player, or have the expectation for the player be to find what they're finding. You know what I mean? That's just a level, a layer of role play, I guess, or fucking gaming, whatever. It's just, I love that. You know, that's why open world games, Skyrim, anything, like I want to decide and find what the hell my character is going to do with their time, existence, whatever. That's very intriguing to me in a gaming sense. So
then you would probably love this then, because
yeah.
I just from what I saw from him, it was kind of just like this. You're exploring the universe. Like I don't even know what else is going on there.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's fucking awesome. So yeah, I'm looking. I mean, you know, clearly, I don't know. Especially like, so if it's something that expansive, like I'm kind of scared to even try to play it before I get
Oh
Subnautica,
man,
because
you,
you know, how do you find the time for that? But
you might want to wait. Honestly, now, and it's funny because talking about this game, I remember on the Discord that I use. I'm on the Gamers Over 30 Discord. I don't really talk to a lot of people there. It's kind of like it's all right. But I noticed they have like, because each popular game has its own channel. So there's maybe like, I don't know, 12, 15 channels. But No Man's Sky itself has like 8 different channels or something like that. There's just a lot for that one game. So I remember thinking like, wow, people are really into this game. But it didn't really register like that. Yeah, this
yeah,
is the reason.
it sounds like it just sounds like one of those stock fucking FPS games that I just would have no interest in. You know, that the title is not. That's the thing. Like, now that I know this, like, yeah, that's a great title. But but like, with no context or no further, like, I don't know. Even the visual, just again, it kind of looks like a Halo thing or something. You know, it's like 3 dudes standing on a. You know, it looks like. I mean, I guess I don't think they're holding guns. Maybe so. Maybe I didn't pay close enough attention, but I don't know. Yeah, it just looked to me like just another one of those games, you know. So bad job of marketing, perhaps, but sounds fucking awesome, and can't wait to play it.
That was Step Up from Phantasy Star 2. And you know it's a hot track when it has its own name.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, it's a good game. I mean, this had me actually checking the game out, man. It's solid. It's solid.
I don't, like I said, I don't think I've actually played 2. I'm pretty sure that was 3 or 4 that I'd really fucked with on my handheld XD. So yeah, dude, I mean, I've been saying for a while, it's fucking very much like just so well regarded that it's got to be good. So,
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the fact that there is now an MMO MMORPG that's live still, an online game spawned from this. I'm intrigued.
Well, I mean, I've already said Jab and I played that first one. It's rough SMS stuff at times, but it, you know, I was definitely all in, like almost immediately all in. Like, okay, yep, this is good. It was.
Well, it's Genesis too, which obviously I didn't have one, but every time I play a Genesis game now, it's like, oh, the colors that it's nice and vibrant. It kind of draws you in
Yeah,
visually.
Yeah, so that is, I mean, I didn't know it. Like, I assumed as much, but I wasn't entirely sure looking at this cover. That it was Phantasy Star that we were dealing with here on the cover. But it is the March 1990 issue. The cover price is $3.95, and it's got kind of like this Mountain Dew green motif going on with it, color palette wise. And the key art is an era ambiguous dude with a headband wielding a big ass sword. There is some kind of like a little action scene going on in the reflection of his sword. Maybe like maybe him, maybe not with a sword, the guy. I mean, maybe with his sword held above his head, and some evil looking fucker reaching down towards him from above. And I want to probably, if I'm wrong, we will probably get eviscerated by Phantasy Star enthusiasts. But Dark Falls is the name of the arch nemesis of the first one, and like I said, it's only when I've played in depth, so I don't know if he is like the dude every time or the baddie every time. But if he is, that's probably him. and it kind of looks like him based on the my recall of the final boss battle in Final Fantasy or in Phantasy Star, the first one.
It's funny to me because it looks like David Hasselhoff. I'm like a young Hoff holding the sword. What's going on here?
And this is from a time when that could very well have been an inspiration of an artist, to say the least. Baywatch is pretty hot and heavy right now, I think. Right? I mean, it started.
Or Knight Rider. Was it Knight Rider?
Or Knight Rider? Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Baywatch might have been a little later. Either way, the Hoff was on the scene. Yeah. So the other bullet points go as such. We have super graphics from Japan. You'll go nuts waiting to get your hands on these. No idea what super graphics is, so I'm listening. But the next one is check out 21 unbelievable new titles. The 3 they choose to represent the unbelievable collective 21 are Golden Axe, Ghostbusters 2, and Space Harrier. And then the aforementioned Phantasy Star 2 with the subheadline, The Sensational Saga Continues. And the last one is tons of tips and tactics. So first up inside is a couple of...
Hold on, Josh. We skipped over something very important here.
What's that?
And perhaps you didn't catch it, but this is the first time we've seen the links at the top banner on the top there.
Oh my God.
Yes. It was not there before. I double checked. I looked at the last one. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't remember links up there. We got Atari. I follow up with the links.
I thought
they're on the scene.
I guess that's kind of in the vibe. Well, what I was going to say, I thought you were going to tell me that they had fixed the thing.
No, they did.
That's why I lost my shit there.
They're keeping it going. They're
keeping that rugged. And like you point that out, and I want to say like it's kind of frustrating because it is like in line with the thing that bothers me. You know what I mean? Like it's like another one now. It's like 2 examples of the thing that pisses me off about it. But yeah, I guess at least they're staying consistent. You know, say it's like Nintendo, Sega, TurboGrafx, Genesis, Game Boy, Atari links. Yeah, like Atari should be 7800 or I don't know, something that should be specific. Like you can't have the general phylums and the specific. You just can't do it. It's bugs the shit out of me. It's so fucking stupid. Anyways, well, that's fun. Yeah, Lynx is out, and that's something I've never played with, but like it has like this little mini appreciation for it. You know, it's just like the problem with it, and I think we had a feature in something recently that we were looking at where this is kind of touched on. It's just like, or you and I touched on it rather, but it just didn't have the software support. You know, like the actual machine was probably pretty good, but especially for the getting out before
this time, sure, yeah.
Color screen. I mean, you're obviously it's competing with the Game Boy, but the what the hell is the Genesis one called?
And I had one too.
Did you? Oh, I want it. It had the TV tuner. Oh my God, I want one of those so bad.
Oh, I didn't have one until later. Like I think I had it in New York, honestly. Like
That's
I mean,
hilarious.
and maybe not that late, but I definitely had one. Darn, what was it? I can't believe.
Yeah,
Can't
I
believe
can't
I
think of it.
forgot.
Yeah, it's such a it's good. Whatever. This is a pointless thing to try to think of right now because it'll be up constantly for the next 3 years. It's like a huge thing. But anyways, so inside we have a couple of Taito NES ads, Demon Sword and Sky Shark, both of which we've seen. And Taito is absolutely on it with being first up with advertising this mag. They are always the inside cover. You know, we've seen a bunch of Operation Wolf ads here, so I don't know if they must have a relationship with Sour or something.
Hey, or they're paying premium bucks. It's like, all right, what are you gonna do? You're gonna flip first. Like, if anybody's gonna look in this Nintendo Power, they're gonna see my ad first.
I'm sure it costs a premium for sure. Then we have a two banger from Atari, that pick a fight after school ad that essentially features the games in that one list on the cover of Atari and One that we just did:
Yeah,
Xenophobe, Rampage, Double Dragon, and Commando.
yeah, Atari
And
hot list.
yeah, right, yeah. And then we get the TOC, and we like the Fantasy Star cover assumptions are proven correct here. Because like I wasn't sure that whole cover. I experienced that whole cover, and like yes, the bullet points there. Yes, it has like the era ambiguous thing going on with it, but like I was not entirely sure I was looking at Fantasy Star art there, and in here it's cemented.
Mhm.
But it might be it's cemented in what probably is, I should say, the absolute worst instance of those shit cropping TOC layout jobs we've seen to date. The Fancy Star one is so bad. Like look at that.
He's
How
got half an eye. What is
yeah, right.
that?
Like how in the fuck who made that decision? Like that is horrible.
Who approved that decision? That's even worse. Like table of contents. Yep, that looks great. Move on.
all,
Send it to print.
all set. Yeah, fire that fucker off. Yeah, man. What in the fuck is going on there, man? Like, every month, I just can't. Yeah, every month there's one that's just like, really, man? Like, are they just kids in like a school newspaper fucking thing or something? You know, like, fuck.
Or it's somebody who's back there like, yo, this is artistic, bro. This is how it's supposed to look. You got like it's off center. You just give a little glimpse. Like it's like
God, yeah.
who are they selling this to? You know?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's so bad.
It's great.
And this is issue 8, man. Like, there's it'd be
Every
one, like,
time.
it'd be one thing if it was like, it happened early and they're like, you think someone would be like, man, I think this looks like shit, dude. We shouldn't do this anymore. But like we're 8 in. This is almost a year of it they've been doing. They're just like, nope, fucking keep that's perfect. That's exactly how we want that to look. Yeah, man. Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. On the across the binder there, across the staples, we have a new Kemco Seika ad for Spy vs. Spy on the NES. And this is licensed from the long-running Mad Magazine comic, which I absolutely loved as a kid. Were you into Mad Mag as a kid?
I was not. I saw him from time to time, but yeah, I don't watch him regular or read him regularly.
It was, it was like an extremely short stint of my life, but I loved them for a bit. Like those comics, I would like literally, I would get it and I would flip through and find these comics were like one of the first things I would hunt down. And then this and Cracked, which is like its sister mag,
Oh yeah.
both would have those folding cover art things. Do you remember those? Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like, yeah, the cover page was like it was like a full page illustration that was something, and it had little arrows on it that would tell you like where to fold the thing over to, and when you folded it over and lined up those arrows, the new seam would create a new illustration.
Yeah.
And it's really like a satirical spin on what the original illustration was. And I just fucking loved those, man. They were so fucking cool to me, And yeah, like the magazine in general, I remember thinking I was in like my preteen phase, and I just remember thinking it was just so edgy, just like it was such an edgy magazine, and yeah, I was really, really into it for a short stint. I haven't thought about these in any depth in a while, these comics or the magazine. So I took a wiki dive on this, and the Mad Magazine wiki is exhausting, dude. There is just an unreal amount of history. Like the magazine was founded in 1952 in NYC by Harvey Kurtzman and ran until 2018 with new satirical content based on, it was, like U.S. culture, politics, entertainment. It was very almost Saturday Night Live-y kind of, but infinitely edgier, in their spins on it. The Spy versus Spy comic specifically was created in 1961 issue of Mad was its first appearance, and it was created by a Cuban expatriate cartoonist, this dude Antonio Prohias, maybe Prohias, in the and he basically, do you know the comic? Do you know like what the deal of it is?
Not really. Like I've played the game a little bit before, like even for this, but like as a kid, like I just kind of I heard about it. I think I've even seen the comic maybe, and I was just kind of like, okay, but I didn't really understand it.
Yeah,
Didn't really get it.
Well, and the reason is because it's not like, it's funny that it's like a young targeted, a youthful targeted magazine, an intern cartoon, because like it's a like the motivation behind me, and like finding out he was a Cuban expatriate in this era. I mean, the Cuban Missile Crisis is 1961, is it not? Like 61 or 62, something like that.
Yeah, I remember.
So yeah, the idea that he was an expatriate coming to the U.S. at that time, the comic, I mean, it's essentially a Cold War manifestation. It's like the idea is that the two spies, like they're two completely identical spies, other than their diametrically opposed color palettes, and they're just fighting over dumb shit, and it is an allegory, I believe, is a proper word for it, of the Cold War between the U.S. and the USSR, and like, I don't know, it's such a smart, heavy thing, and like to create something that kids are like I said, I was looking for those comics, and like the idea that there was this like a theme, an underlying theme that was informed by probably the most globally important thing going on at that time, like that had the world on the precipice of destruction at all times for 30 years. And the idea that like kids were flipping through this comic enjoying what they thought was just antics, and the cartoonist behind it was trying to communicate the stupidity of this globally fucking potentially destructive thing at all times. It's like, I don't know, it's a really interesting thing, um, so yeah, the cartoons are pretty cool, and I just read more about this dude. Like, yeah, he leaves, he like just drops into NYC after leaving Cuba, and he's like, I don't know, and that's kind of thing too. Like the idea of a grown man who has decided he wants to be a cartoonist coming out of that fucked up situation at that time is kind of inconceivable to me. And the idea that he goes to NYC and he just like drops into their office like with these with samples of this cartoon idea that he has, and they were just like, yep, we're gonna print that, come on in, and like just fucking then he worked with him forever till probably till he died almost. Like just, I don't know, just such a wild story and such an impressively inspiring thing, really, to I'm sure clearly if you're, was it expatriate? What do you call that? What's the verb of expatriate? Like, whatever.
Repatriates?
Yeah. Expatriizing out of Cuba at that time to the U.S. Probably a fucked up. Like the actual story of that is probably incredible. Just like him physically getting out of the country and getting to the U.S. was probably an incredible story at that time. And then going in, this is such a cool story. Like I said, deep dive in the Mad Wiki. If you were into that, set aside an entire afternoon if you're going to do it to yourself, because there's a lot there. The video game though is a little basic, and it was already ported all over Creation before hitting the NES. But I do have I want to say Jab and I rented this one, and I have a pretty fond memory of playing it with him. Like it's the head-to-head. Like, did you ever play the head-to-head thing, or did you just play one player?
Not with the person, just
one player. See, one player. It's because you're really just moving around these rooms finding items that you can use, like bombs and stuff, I think. And it's just like you're on this a relatively small, I believe, map internal map of like a house or something or a building, whatever it would be. And yeah, you're just looking to set traps in things for the other player to find and kill them, kind of, which against the computer, because one, NES AI blows, and two, it's just not, you're playing, there's no face to what you're doing. But if you're playing head to head and you're sitting next to each other, it's much more fun. It's still clearly not a complicated game by any length. Like I said, it's just booby traps that you're setting essentially for each other. But because you're trying to find, I think there's like one, you got to like find a clue that generates the win state, and for that reason, you kind of need to check everything. So the other player setting booby traps for you is, it's fun. It's reminds me of the mechanic of the first Animal Crossing, where you could dig holes and plant. I think I talked to Courtney about this, and you might have been in the periphery of the conversation. But what do you call that? The holes, like what the hell is it called? A hole, a booby trap, essentially. You dig you could put holes behind like bushes where they couldn't be seen and stuff. So when the player's just running around doing their stupid errands and stuff, they would just fall into a hole, and it like would slow you down for like 5 seconds, get a little message where your character's irritated or something, and then pop back out and go what you're doing. But it's just like an irritating thing, and it kind of had that feel to it, like running around and you're like constantly doing other shit, but every now and again it's just like, you motherfucker. Yeah. That kind of thing. So yeah, cute game, not bad, but certainly nothing fucking to write home about. The ad is cool though too. All these. This is that same ad line as the Shadowgate one with the kid and the things reaching up out of the hole, and the Rescue Embassy mission ad, where the kid's like rappelling down out of the helicopter, like this line of
similar
ad.
Angle, everything. Like,
yep, yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They're like, this works. Keep doing that.
Yeah, people are digging this one. Yeah. Yeah, this one, the kid is up above them, and like they're inching together. The two spies are inching together at the corner of a building or something. I guess, it's a fire hydrant, so they're on the sidewalk below. And he's up on the building holding 2 flower pots to drop on both their heads. And that's very in line with what the humor style, like, it is. They just, like, half the time, neither one of them wins in the cartoon, because, like, and that's, again, going back to the Cold War, no one's going to win. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a pretty cool ad, too. So next up, the letter from the GamePros, and that's with the masthead. They fire you up pretty hard for Phantasy Star 2 in here, reminding you that Phantasy Star is easily what they receive the most mail about in this magazine. And they also tease Shinobi hitting the PC Engine in Japan and overseas prospects, and I was expecting that, like the quality of that, to be absolutely fucking dope, Like the first Shinobi on SMS wasn't bad. It's one of the better SMS games probably. And then the Genesis one, like I said, we already talked about doing a game episode on that when we first bumped into it. So I've said more than once, like these PC Engine games, when I diddle with them, are often pretty fucking cool looking. So I was expecting this to be pretty hot when I played with it. And some other SMS fodder hitting TurboGrafx. They mentioned Space Harrier being released on it too. And then speaking of SMS, Golden Axe is going backwards from that dope ass Genesis ISOH port of it that we played, and I was so intrigued because I was like, how bad is it going to be in comparison? Like how much?
Why?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a different time too. Well, I don't know. They do it now too. I guess I was gonna say it's such a different time, but really they're doing that now. I mean, like the Series X comes out, and 3/4 of the games on it for the first 6 months I've had it are rehashes of the previous generation's games that they're just releasing. They're supposedly not even remastered in a lot of cases. So, supposedly optimized for the Series X. Like, fuck off. Like, it's the same game. So it's the same concept, just trying to exploit existing. I guess that's a bad example of what this is, like, still releasing games that are compatible with the previous version, essentially, or the previous system, just because not enough of your user base has ported over or has moved over to the new system yet. So you need to make software that works on both of them. And clearly that means you're not optimizing yourself for the new one, because obviously, so it still happens today, really.
Yeah.
And then we have a few pages of Hal Retread bullshit and the GamePro subscribe page, taking us up to the mail. Louis Espinoza of San Diego, California, is writing to berate the mag for providing so many tips. The word tips is used so many times in this letter. It is hilarious. Like, he says he buys games to figure them out for himself and to be challenged, and that's fine. So yeah, so instead of telling Louis to report the person holding a gun to his head while he reads the magazine to the authorities, they kindly explain that many a reader writes in demanding more tips. So they actually, and I love that they go on to say that it often weighs heavily on them deciding how much to reveal about a game, and that, like, that's why they don't, and they say they don't print maps in the magazine, that it takes away much of the excitement of exploring the game for yourself, and one, I think they're fucking lying, and it's really just a significant amount of work to get screenshot maps into a mag at this time, and they don't have the resources that Nintendo Power has. So I think that's really what the chief reason that maps aren't in the magazine, But yeah, it's funny that he's like bitching, like, why are you reading the magazine then, dude? Like, like it's a fucking tip magazine. It says on the cover, hot tips and tricks. Like that's what the whole thing is.
You should not be doing what you're doing at all.
Yeah, it's not the mag for you, dude. You should find another mag. Yeah. So I love that one. I don't know. Did the letters do anything for you otherwise?
Oh man, no. Louis' note was the note. I mean, that was clearly the highlight.
Word. So we have from there ads for Acclaim's Double Dragon 2 and Jalico's Hoops, both of which we've seen many times, taking us to the cutting edge, where the Wiz breaks down PC Engine console iterations hitting shelves in Japan. And it seems like a lot of bullshit, really. Did you read this closely? Did you really parse it? Yeah. It's like the first two seem like they're just the same system with new casings, like much like the late stage Genesis releases, the MK2 and 3s, and then the NES redesigns in the US, like the top loader one that kind of looked more like the SNES than the original front loading NES. And then the latter, the Super Graphics, is also like, it's just an 8-bit deal, but they've bumped the onboard RAM from 8K to 32K. And like, I mean, that is, at this time, that's a significant difference power wise. Once games hit that took advantage of it, but one, again, just like we were talking about the fucking Xbox, like that hadn't occurred yet for sure, and it was almost twice the cost as the others, So it just, I don't know, it kind of, it's very, very like the Genesis 32X. It's like you're like kind of cannibalizing your own fucking user base and like splitting up people's willingness to spend money on things. It's just
it's so confusing, the whole thing. Like at the very beginning, I was like, oh, they got 3 new systems coming out. Like, oh, what is this? Then you get here, and I'm like, I don't understand what this spread is telling me about. Like, now you have this 8-bit version to take advantage of the big library of existing games. Okay, this is not. You're not telling me you get an extra different systems. Come on now.
Yeah, but you're like, you have more power, but you're like, I don't know. Like, are you telling me that these games are running poorly on the previous one? Like, because that is the only way this thing would have any utility. It's like the old school PC gaming environment, like the late 90s, where you could buy a game. Like when you bought a game, that little side panel, and I remember I had like that shitty ass 2 MB of RAM IBM PS2. So like when I would go to the fucking Best Buy or something, dude, I'm like looking at those labels, like I know the exact number of
yeah.
like I know, like, it was like, fuck, it's not gonna work. So like, yeah, so they have like the minimum system requirements, and then the optional system requirements, and like essentially what that's telling you, like, minimum system requirements, your computer will let you install it, it will start up, but it's probably going to be a miserable experience. Whereas optimal is, it's going to run like a real game. So I mean, that's kind of what this sounds like to me, like. And I haven't played enough TurboGrafx to know whether or not games are running poorly on it. I assume and hope not, but otherwise, I struggle to see. I mean, yeah, clearly down the line, games are going to come out that utilize that 4 times RAM offering, but and again, and we'll see how it pans out. But I mean, that was the thing with the 32X. Like they released this thing, and it's a pretty expensive peripheral. It looks stupid, and the added difference of those games and all this extra incurred cost doesn't appeal to people enough for it to be really supported. So in turn, Sega pulls back from really supporting it. So nothing really ever ends up getting onto it. Like Doom is the only game I can think of that anyone's ever said has any purpose at all of owning a 32X, And
Now that you mention it, yep, I do remember that.
and fuck wants to play Doom on Genesis. Like so
If you
yeah,
had a Genesis only and no PC, there you go. Otherwise,
no, and I'm sure there was no shortage of kids. I'm sure that game sold like fucking gangbusters. So, but in the macro, I don't know, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Next is a two-banger from Asmic, and it's that 4-player tennis title for the NES we talked about recently with the tennis players I'd never heard of in my life, Chris Evert and Ivan Lendl. And they dedicate an entire page to introducing a cute little pink dinosaur company mascot they're calling Boomer. So I don't know, I guess they're really expecting to blow big on the NES. Like they need to create a whole new branding for this NES phase of their existence. After that, we have Overseas Prospects, and it's covering that Shinobi's PC Engine release in Japan. And funny enough, on firing it up, the first company card, like the company card thing, was Asmic, and it had the cute little pink dinosaur standing next to it in the frame. So it's funny, like again, like they're like, you see this a lot where the companies piggyback their advertising with coverage, which probably means they paid for the coverage too, but like you see that a lot with this third party mag stuff, where the companies really tried to double down on driving something home advertising wise. I assume you still haven't turned on any TurboGrafx stuff, have you?
nope, not enough.
Dude, you should download that. It's the emulator is Turbo Engine. Just like some of these games like this where it has so much meaning to even the Genesis or Nintendo stuff that we talk about. Some of the games are pretty cool, but this game fucking blows though. Like compared to Shinobi 2 on Genesis, I mean, it's probably better than the first one on SMS, but you could probably sit with a piece of paper and point out the things that are better, and like it's probably pretty comparable, But yeah, like compared to the Genesis, it's a joke. So I don't know. Clearly, this isn't utilizing the 32X fucking version of the TurboGrafx. But yeah, I was expecting much more, I guess. Again, because I've seen some pretty cool shit out of that PC Engine stuff I've dealt with. This was not one of them.
My whole philosophy with TurboGrafx is since I didn't own it as a kid, it was one of those things where, and we've talked about it. Oh, this looks cool. They boast superior graphics and this and that. And then because nothing cool ever happened on it, it just kind of faded away. So unless there's like a gem on here, I'm not going to go out of my way to play TurboGrafx.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, just there's definitely the software, that didn't get anywhere near the level of software support, so you're not going to find that there. But again, just every now and again, they are visually impressive games compared to what the 8-bit offerings are otherwise, And it's tough to it's only going to get clearly because we're hitting 16-bit stuff like that. The impressiveness of it is only going to go downhill from here. But we have a couple of new Vic Tokai NES ads that are worked in here afterwards. Conflict and Gogol 13, or a Gogol 13 sequel, the Mafat Conspiracy. And their games have absolutely sucked ass to date. But their ads are incredibly interesting. Like, do you remember the last Gogol ad we spent a lot of time on with the guy in front of the car with the girl and the panther walking out in front from the car? Like, where's that panther coming from? So yeah, their ads are pretty cool. The Conflict ad has a couple of kids playing video games in what I would call a customary 80s military command center, probably a mainframe. And
command center. This is definitely the command center.
Right. And there's a couple of officers behind them looking on at what they're doing on the screen, And this is a March new release, and it is described as a turn-based top-down strategy game on Moby. And, that you pack all those words into a game, I'm like, holy shit, what do we have cooking here? I'm listening. What do you got for me? And it appears to be like a Nobunga's ambition. Did we decide that I'm pronouncing that wrong? Nobunga? Nobunga?
No bungas. I think it.
No bunga. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. I thought we had a whole discussion about that. Pronounced wrong at one point. Anyways, Nubunga's ambition level military strategy sim, and it looks probably, I mean, much like Nubunga's ambition, like pretty decently done for an NES strategy military game. But no, like, like I was like watching it, I was like, there's just no way. You can't. It's just so far away from what a strategy game needs to be engageable in 2021 that like there's just no way to even try to give it a fair shake. Yeah, like I have Civ 6 and I even have Civ 2 if I really want to turn back the clock. Yeah, to the late 90s, and even that clearly that's just infinitely better. So just no, but it is an intriguing idea that putting these really hardcore simulation games in NES, and again I've said every time we've encountered them, like I just wish I could. The one like New England's Ambition was one I experienced, and again, like I don't think I knew what I was doing, but I would definitely. I remember renting New Bunga's Ambition, and sitting there and like spending an entire weekend like trying to grasp it, because it was intriguing enough to do that. But like I wish I could. These ones that I hadn't bumped into, I wish I could. There was some way to like experience them in that context, because it's clearly not doable now.
Yep. Same. I feel the exact same way. Verbatim.
Yeah. The Go 13 sequel doesn't hit till June, but the artwork is great for it. It's like a spy protagonist protecting a dime piece damsel in distress behind him from various ambiguously depicted and moodily colored spy stuff. It's like fucking the Eiffel Tower, satellite, just like I don't know. It's like I don't know. If you were to just like take if someone were to send you the art department breakdown of every James Bond movie ever put into one list, you know what I mean? Like literally just a list of things that the art department had to put on screen for every James Bond movie ever. Just a text list of it. Every one of these things would be just on that. Something you could just check mark. Like, yep, got that one. It's this funny how stock spy it is to me.
Yeah, that's great though. It's great.
Yep. I love most of their ads have like that kind of mail-in component to them. Usually it's just like the corner thing you cut off, but this one they go in the extra mile with like the styling of it. And the conflict one is for a poster, and this one it's shaped like a movie ticket, and it says sneak preview across the top. So it's like, again, kind of using that spy thing, like a James Bond movie is exactly what they're going for there. Like this is a James Bond movie, and here's a ticket to it. You know what I mean? And that's pretty fucking cool. I think to even style to go the extra mile in styling the mail-in component of your ad is very commendable. The reader is implored in it to mail the ticket in for a secret tip, whatever that might be, for a game that's not even out yet. But anyhow, next is a new one, a full pager for a 1-900 number that is fucking great. It is 1-900 NIN the number 10 DO. So 1-900 Nintendo. And I mean, does shit get any more clever than that, Jay? Like, have you found anything in your life that is more clever than that 1-900 number?
I wonder how much money this ad cost parents.
Unreal. I've told my 1-900 Spider-Man story on here a few times already. I'm pretty sure you were exposed to it once. Like, yes, this ad for sure cost parents some money. Like, I can't really, in hindsight, yeah, I can't believe they were allowed to advertise these I can't believe there wasn't some regulation that prevented this, if you think about it. Because it's like, clearly, it says to get your parents' permission at the bottom. 0 kids did that. Like 0 kids. 0 kids are getting any parents' permission, because no parent is going to tell you it's okay to piss money up the wall on something this stupid. And like, I don't care how rich you are. Like, in fact, the more rich you are, the smarter your dad probably is, and the more he'd be like, no fucking way. So yeah, just no fucking way. So the artwork,
unless it goes the other way, and he's just like, whatever to make you happy. Like he's just uninvolved.
Shut up and get out of my face. Go call whatever. Yeah. I guess that's possible. The artwork is some dude with chaos going on in his living room. He's holding a touch-tone phone, and it looks like a computer mouse attached to an NES-ish little box thing. And the headline reads, "Power Beyond Your Fingertips. Call and hear how the pros battle their way to victory." So here's how this works. You call from your touch-tone phone. You rotary phone peasants can't get in on this hot shit. FYI, you have to have a touch-tone phone or you're fucked. And you pick the category you want to hear. So they have like a list here: action, adventure, sports, the classics, you name it. And then plus you also get info on the following categories: hot new releases, killer contests, free newsletter, high scorers club. $2 the first minute, 75 cents additional. Don't forget to call your parents' permission or don't give a fuck. Just call and give us money. Like at the bottom there in a little fine print. And man, yeah, dude, I might have spent a half hour just like marveling at this ad, dude. I posted on the socials. I was just like thinking, and then I went down in a fucking rabbit hole of 1-900 stuff, dude. So yeah, like I miss 1-900 ads so much, man. Like I have like none of them are explicit enough to cite, but like my memory of these things, like the 1-900 late night commercials and shit, just like they're incredible. They're just like, even as a kid, you're sitting there just like, I can't like it's just so different than everything else that would be on your TV, you know, like so bad and so poorly produced and just so they're marketing insane things, whether it be clearly the sex lines or like it's just crazy shit. They're all like, and like thinking about that stuff, it occurred to me that there was zero doubt that there'd be endless video YouTube compilations of these fucking things just in perpetuity, right? So there I go on that. And there was. And holy shit, they are mind-blowing, man. Like there's a channel for it. There's a channel called 900 Number Commercials. Is the 900-number commercials. Link to that will be in the show notes. And good fucking luck not losing a couple hours of your life if you go there. Like, one of them is we'll get one later, but like, unreal, dude. Just like the shit, and like, I didn't even remember. And you're young, so like, not all things land on you and stick, but like, looking at them as an adult, holy shit, dude. Like, unreal. Unfucking real. We'll watch one later, but unfucking real. Like, set some time aside and go down that rabbit hole because I just cannot promise you with more certainty that you will enjoy yourself. You go check that channel out.
All right, then.
Yeah, holy shit. Then we have that hot Bandai Dig Dug 2 ad that we have seen before and appreciated before the Adventures of GamePro comic. And this is Chapter 7, Ghouls and Ghosts. They work in some shit that could very, very loosely be called tips towards the end. And I enjoy how... so when they reference Blaster Master in it, like towards the end there, and there's a footnote directing you to Chapter 4 of the saga, as if you just can't conceive of the reference otherwise. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. It's just so excessively, I don't know. It's so unnecessary.
Hey, they're being true to their comic book, you know, so to speak.
Well, no, what do you mean? That's the thing. That's the point. Like Marvel Comics, 50 years. And I'm sure they reference shit from 30 years ago sometimes. And they're just like, you either know it or you don't. Whatever. Like, moving on, But like, these guys feel the need, like, you need to consult back to. I don't know. Maybe like
that's what makes it great. That's
like, I mean, I guess there's a minute potential that there's some like internal dialogue where they're like, well, it could sell a back issue, like do that, like some of like that's potential, I guess. But that's like the best possible explanation for it I can give. At the end here, it kind of looks like Todorino is maybe headed back to Earth. It's kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm. Finally.
Yeah, finally. The story is taking a major turn. And after that, we have a couple of Kimco Sega ads we've seen, the Rescue Embassy Mission and Shadowgate ones we mentioned before, and that closes out Act 1 of GamePro 8. That is the Super Dodgeball title theme, and NES Pro Views kick shit off here in Act 2, as they always do about this time. Koei's Romance of the Three Kingdoms is first up, a strategy simulation game that is basically Nobunga's Ambition 2. And it looks like it has a lot going on, like all these strategy games do. The wind-up paragraph describes it as probably one of the most complex strategy roleplay carts around. It's almost impossible to finish a scenario in one sitting, but don't worry, you can save your game. So yeah, it's gonna take a while. And then they point out there is an eye towards education in the game, and I dig that. I remember seeing the preview for this some time ago, and they kind of touching on that Koei's like mission statement of sorts for a lot of their games are historically informative, educational minded, which is cool.
Nice.
And a niche that is otherwise, I think, probably untapped at this time. So that was a cool idea. Nice. The MSRP for this baby is $64.50 though, and that is fucking high. That is super expensive. Activision's Ghostbusters 2 is up next, and I think it's out. Moby just says 1990. Who fucking cares? Let's talk Ghostbusters 2. This is based on the major motion picture of the same name and numeral, where the Ghostbusters battle Vigo, Scourge of Carpathia, and his mounting rivers of angry mood slime in the sewers beneath NYC. Who are you gonna call, Jay?
Ghostbusters!
No. Vintage Bill Murray. That's who you're gonna call here. The MSRP for this is $44.95, and the movie is fucking great, man. The game is not, but the movie is great. Absolutely great.
The game has some stellar music. I will tell you that. Like
Sure.
Even the infographics, like the sound, it's like, okay, this is definitely Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
But that's about where it stopped for me.
Yeah. There's a lot of great cutscenes. Like there's cool pixel art, there's cool set pieces, and yeah, they have a fantastic rendition of the theme song that everyone's heard. And I'm not going to drop it in here because you can think of it, and you can hear it in full force in your head right now as I'm talking about it. I don't need to play it, but the game is just a dog shit side-scrolling action platformer. Is really all it amounts to. And they even pack in some awful driving sequences that are probably worse, to up the shit ante on it, And yeah, I remember renting as a kid, feeling completely wronged and never trusting another thing in this cruel, cruel world ever again, actually. So yeah, the game is a massive letdown. Movie's great though. Yeah, the how this was like, well, so yeah, 1990. So yeah, I want to say I was in 4th grade when this hit. Like I remember like there's some Scholastic Book Club shit that I can't quite put my finger on. I was trying to Google it and find it, but yeah, there's some Scholastic Book Club shit that I remember that I had for this, and like I don't know, it was just like it had me. It absolutely had me, I was fucking just entranced by this movie.
The movie was good. Absolutely good. I mean, it's Ghostbusters. Like, why would you not?
Yeah, right. It's Ghostbusters.
Like Slimer. Like,
yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah. I mean, and that's even because, and again, this was like I haven't watched it in a long time, and I was trying to find a clip to drop in here, and I couldn't find anything that was good for cutaway purposes. But I was trying to find some good Bill Murray shit, but he's got some monologues and stuff, but nothing that really standalone without context really worked for me. There's like the baby scene where he's playing with the baby when they go to Sigourney Weaver's apartment. Him and I think maybe Elon, is it, or not Elon? Egon Spengler. Egon Spengler. So yeah, there's a bunch of good scenes I found, but nothing that would work. It's just like a quip from him. Anyways, I haven't watched it, or maybe realized I hadn't watched it in a long time, but like in my recall of it, it seemed like, I don't know, compared to the first one as a kid, and this is probably just because it's 6 years later or whatever, but the second one seemed like, I don't know, like the real version of Ghostbusters. Like the first one was like, I don't know. It didn't feature Winston as much, and like it seemed to like the first one seemed. I guess what I'm getting here, the first one seemed to deviate from what I understood as the IP more than the second one did. You know what I mean? Like, because again, Winston wasn't a major part of the first one. He like comes in later as like a higher like. Whereas
That's true.
the second one, he's they're like the Ghostbusters. The first one is about them like become. It's like the prologue almost to me.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess it's maybe a better way to put it. So yeah, the second one just rang truer to me to what I thought of as the Ghostbusters because I had the action figures. Like those action figures were fucking dope, man. With the fucking the Ecto slime and shit. Those were so fuck. I had the Ecto. I had the car. I didn't have the firehouse. I was so envious. A buddy of mine had the firehouse. I remember fucking being so envious of him. But I had a ton of the toys. A lot of them had a lot of them would use, like, I remember I had this orange one that it was like it was in two pieces, and it was like this big orange blob kind of thing with this big, like a big fanged mouth, and you could put the Ecto slime inside of it, and like the way it went together, the piston that connected the two. Sea of Thieves is on thing right now, by the way, but the piston that connected the two parts. I guess yeah, we should probably say that we're both watching the Xbox Microsoft E3 thing while we podcast. So if we lose our train of thought and don't seem like we're paying attention to what we're doing, that's why. but yeah, so like the piston inside, when you pushed it down, would like push the slime up into the head of the blob, and it would come
I
down
remember that.
and like and like drip down in his mouth, and there's like that fucking just such a cool toy mechanic, And there were a lot of things that use that Ecto slime to somehow.
Who doesn't love slime?
Exactly. That slime, that slime was fucking fantastic. It's like the stuff you could get. You could get it out of the little 25% machine. It's the same stuff that was in those. It was everywhere.
Exactly.
Then. But it clearly fit into the branding of what Ghostbusters was perfectly.
Especially that bright green color too. That special color. Like
I had the pink and the blue ones actually.
Okay.
But yeah, they had a bunch of colors of it. It was fantastic. And like the little they came in what looked like Play-Doh containers, those little plastic drums with the plastic thing on top. But yeah, the slime containers came with a little ghost in them, like in the slime. They just did such a fantastically market, and they had the car, of course, as all toy lines did back then. The cartoon, they had the cartoon that came out, and like there's a whole thing about the IP of that. They had to call that the real Ghostbusters.
Oh my gosh!
For some reason or another. And yeah,
Did you watch those?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I remember that, like watching Ghostbusters and it being some weird other crew and being like, "This is so different."
No. It was the same crew. They just couldn't use the same.
No. There were two different shows. There was a different show called like The Ghostbusters that I watched that had completely different people.
Oh, really? I don't remember
doing stuff.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. That's why when the real Ghostbusters, like in my head, I can remember like the tagline, "Welcome back to the real Ghostbusters."
I remember that.
A different show that was freaking different, right? But they were also Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I did not know that. I thought it was just some shit with the the movie IP. They weren't allowed to use it or something. That's hilarious. I didn't realize that.
There's definitely something there because there was a different show and it was on at the same time.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, probably when the other show realized that they were trying to do it, like they were like, we can definitely fucking ride that coattail. Like we need to do everything we can to confuse people. And exploit this opportunity for sure. Yeah. So yeah, I was just fucking head over heels about this shit. So when this game sucked, I was just like so defeated inside. I was looking at screenshots and there's like I saw one screenshot where they're like you control the Statue of Liberty through the harbor, and like that's such a cool thing. But it's like late in the game. It's I'd never in a million years get that far in because the game sucks so bad. But bummer. And next is another licensed title, LJN's X-Men.
Oh man, your favorite game. We're doing this for our next episode. Let's go. Call it.
Yeah, we've talked about this. This is a terrible game of an amazing fucking property at one of its coolest narrative moments. I love this particular X-Men squad of Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Storm, Iceman, and Cyclops. I said Cyclops last here because fuck Cyclops, but I'm reading the copy here in the magazine. as I walk into with that opinion, right? And I find myself digging when I'm reading. I like that they acknowledge the ever-changing nature of the X-Men team members. Like they're aware, even the people writing the article are aware of the X-Men story universe. So I'm like, dig that. And I like the playing up of the powers each character wields in the game. I love how they talk about it being set up to be a great couch co-op experience, and that you and a buddy playing as X-Men together. And then I was like, fuck! Like, these LJN pricks are doing it to me again! They're getting me to buy in again, even now as I read the magazine 30 years later, just like I did numerous times in my childhood. And then I'll turn it on, and I'll be reminded it's a total fucking dumpster fire of a game, and that they're like heinous cunts for doing this to me and shitting all over this amazing IP again. Like, I was like, I did. I was like 2/3 into the article, and I was like, I slammed the table. I was like, fuck! Like, these pricks. Yeah, like, dude, it's like it's such a tragedy, man. Fuck you, LJN.
They keep emphasizing like teaming up with someone. Like, I wonder if that would make it fun. Like, it almost makes it seem like they're saying by yourself, yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna suck.
Right, and yeah, that's because even when you play as one person, even when you play one player, there's two fuckers. Like, you have like two X-Men are together, and like that like the concept of that is awesome. That like even as a one player game, you're still a team of X-Men, and like that is really cool. But the AI of your CPU of your NPC is beyond useless. And I think you could switch between them, so you can take control of the one if he's doing something particularly stupid. But clearly, I mean, obviously, like that, again,
that's not the ideal situation.
No, yeah, as a kid too, especially, like, fucking Christ, man, like running 2 tracks in your mind while you're playing this awful game, like, get out of here, So yeah, fuck you, LJN. I'm not playing your dog shit X-Men Abomination, and I hope you die in a ditch for releasing it. Fuck you. Yeah, like, oh my god. Yeah. Next up is a 2-banger on Atari Mindscape joining Road Blasters. Let's talk about something happy here. I never played this before. This Road Blasters game. Have you ever seen this before?
No, I'd never seen it before. I mean, I think I'd seen it in the arcade. Like, I think it was an arcade port, but I'd never played it.
It's Atari. It probably is. Yeah. The feature outlines it as a dystopian road racing game, kind of like a Mad Max deal, and the MSRP is $49.95. So I fired this baby up, man. And like, I don't know if I was just in a weakened state, like a state of mind after the emotional whirlwind of the X-Men saga, but I really enjoyed playing this game, dude. Like the controls are fantastic, and like, it's like this kind of, it's that like not first person perspective, but kind of like that angled back behind the car playing a perspective, like the road comes at you in like this perspective that gets bigger as it approaches, right? So usually in those, man, the turning mechanics of those games are usually, you're just trying to figure out like the exact position you hold the controller in every time to take the exact same angle turn every time, And this, like, I felt like the turning mechanics were varied and semi-unique on every turn, where, and that obviously is, that is the thing about racing games that make them engaging. You know what I mean? Like the variance of the world as you try to go through it quickly, is critical, that there's not a dependable lack of variance to it, So that was really cool about this, I thought. And the enemies I encountered and the couple races I did were also varied, and they didn't behave in dumb as fuck ways. They had like, the AI was seemingly, especially by NES standards, not bad. And the finish line music ditty is really hot. Brother Ben Petrak actually dropped into the Facebook page, which I didn't know he was even keen on, and appreciated that track, Jay. So I don't know if I don't know if you clocked that or not, but I know I don't often say this about 8-bit racing games, but this is fun, and it's fucking better than X-Men for sure.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Looking at the copy, like, made me want to play the game. Like, I was just like, whatever, a racing game. But I was looking at the copy, and I was like, all right, well, I'll fire it up. It was a fun little racing shooter. Like, yeah, it's not bad. Not bad.
Like, even I posted the clip of me, with getting to the finish line on the one thing, and there was like, and it's amazing to me that it even conveyed in just the video form, not actually playing it, but like, there was like I think it was like a fuel pickup, and though like the those pickups don't move, like they're not stationary on the track, thankfully, especially because you would just fly by them. You're going fast as shit in the game. So leading up to the track, like I kind of like cleared out all the enemies, I guess, or got past where they were, and there was still this fuel thing. And like I didn't even know that the finish line was up there yet. But like in this, when I'm playing this part in the game, I'm like the fuel thing is like just slightly not as fast as me. So like I'm not blowing into it and picking it up. It's like just out of reach. And like I'm like I can remember like I'm holding the I don't even know if the up button was doing anything, but it's like that mechanic where you're like, let's go get that fucking thing. And like it took so long to get to it, and there was so much it built anticipation, and like that's a very small nuanced gameplay mechanic thing. Again, going back to the thing I've said just a million times that those kitchen boys talked about, how like just creating a thing while you're playing that maybe you don't even know is happening to you, but like something that is like enjoyable at like a fucking just a subconscious level, like you don't even know you're appreciating the thing that you're appreciating as you're appreciating it. But those little things built into games are what makes them fun, especially a game that is, doesn't have some sort of really engaging story or whatever. If it's just kind of like a gameplay game, like you have to have those little things in there. And yeah, it's just like even in the video though, you can feel it's just like, get it, come on, get it, get it, get it, get it. And then I got it just before I got to the finish line. It's just like it was so satisfying. Even in video form, it's satisfying to watch, So yeah, it's I think a pretty damn good game, particularly for racing, I think, of this era. But again, I was so emotionally damaged at the time, it's hard to look at it with.
This one made my thumbs hurt. Like I don't know if it was like like trying to get those things,
Right.
but I was afterwards. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like normally my thumbs don't hurt. Like what is happening?
That's a good Nintendo game. If it gives you Nintendo thumb, it's a good Nintendo game. Simple as that. If you're trying that hard, you're into it. That's an indicator of interest and fucking wanting success. Our boy John Sauer is carrying us into a sure letdown with a two-banger on Golden Axe for the SMS, given our recent Game F Genesis iteration. And I can barely fucking read this white text on an atomic orange background. This is again just a horrific magazine layout design decision here. I just can't even kind of barely read that text. And I don't know.
I think the blue pro tips are worse. Like I literally cannot.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, it's almost like there's this weird sun effect.
Right. Are you colorblind at all? Like I don't know.
I don't think so. But like I don't know why. It's really hard to read.
Yeah, I don't think I am either. Like I can see it. It's not that like if I really focus on it, I can see it. But I don't know enough about the colorblind stuff. Like I said, I don't think I am, at least not in any significant way. So like I don't know but I feel like this might conflict with it. You know what I mean? Like if you are colorblind, I feel like you might look at this and just be like, what? It's like a blank page of some color or something, Like yeah, it's a really bad contrast for sure. So they point out a jumping attack is more powerful and 3 times faster an attack than a normal one, and that is a true fact. I quickly gleaned from the Genesis version in our playthrough, so I appreciated that they pointed that out. The price is not available. Like they don't have the MSRP. It says not available, and I guess that's just because it's too hot for commerce. Like I don't know. Like what do they mean? They don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's weird to me because it's out.
Thinking about it. I don't know.
Yeah, just what's out though. It's dumb. It's because it's out. I don't know. Like I don't know. And there's a couple more in the Genesis realm that they don't, or the Sega realm they don't have for that, and it's fucking weird to me. So I did fire this up. Did you fire it up to take a look at it?
No, I'm not going backwards on that.
Yeah. I did just for the novelty of it. I did. Yeah, and dude. I mean, to be complete, it's much better. Like my expectation was just like truck fire, and like it's much better than that, and it played pretty damn well, dude. Like I'm sure that Sega tots that hadn't made the jump to 16-bit era were pleased with this. Like I bet kids that got this, even if they like had played the Golden Axe, I mean, if you played the 16-bit version 1 at your buddy's house in the Genesis, and you like went home and you told your mom you wanted Golden Axe, and you got Golden Axe for SMS, if you had a first-hand experience of the 16-bit version and you were expecting the same, there was probably some level of like, oh man, this ain't the fucking same. Like I can't tell my buddies. I can't tell my buddies about this. Like there's probably some level of that. But if you were just like, I want to play Golden Axe, and you weren't exposed to the 16-bit version, and you got this, I think you 100% would enjoy it, and especially because you're only playing SMS anyway. So compared to most SMS games, great, like really, really good. There's a couple minute differences that I'm sure are just limitations, cart storage wise or whatever. You can't pick different characters. You're just the main dude, Axe Battler or whatever the hell his name is. So you're automatically the warrior, and instead of that character selection system, you pick the type of magic you want. So you can still pick the different types of magic of all three characters, but it's like you select that from a menu in the beginning instead of a different character, and that dictates the ESO. They're online. Are you even paying attention, Jay?
No, yeah. So I'm very much familiar with that.
I don't need to tease me on that. That's funny. So yeah, the animation, of course, is a little choppy comparatively, because it's SMS, and anytime they do like high action stuff on SMS, especially with good sprites, graphic work, whatever, it's always the frame rate's never really great, and that's suffers from that too. But very playable and much better than I thought it would be, in all honesty. So
I'm sure. I feel like it's like kind of like Commando for Atari for me. Like I didn't play the NES version. I played the Atari version, and it was freaking fantastic to me. I loved it. Like I'm sure if I played the NES one first, I'd probably be like, oh man, but like I played only the Atari one, and I love that one. So I'm sure it's the same.
Good enough. Yep. So we move right out of SMS and into Genesis with the cover ditty next, Phantasy Star 2.
And get the game they've been pushing hard this entire episode. Or magazine, rather.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. They get the most letters, Jay. They have to. I mean, they're just appealing to the public. There's no internal initiative. There's no bias. Nothing. They're just answering the requests. The opening line of the feature is "It's here!" with 2 exclamations, not just one. And this is also coming to us from our boy John Sauer. So just more table setting for John Sauer taking over the Genesis or the Sega realm. It's just funny how like everything that has anything to do in the Sega realm, this dude is just like the dude, and that's clearly a direct the fact that he was running the newsletter. They were probably like, you have to do all the Sega stuff if you come here. That's the way it's going to be, so it makes perfect sense. It's just funny to me that we clocked it, realized it, and then know where it's going. And it's just how, I guess maybe the fascination is more so just this was happening, not that I was reading GamePro or the newsletters, but like this was setting up like that we see the development timeline happening of what would become such a big like Sega Visions that like when I made the jump to Sega and I started getting those Sega Visions and like stopped reading Nintendo Power and stopped playing Nintendo and got it and went to like the dark side essentially. That whole thing, like seeing that the stars lining up to create that opportunity that I didn't realize even there was, like, to me it's just like it appeared and that came into my world. There's clearly no knowledge of where it came from, its origin story, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just cool to see it developing. I'm enjoying the shit out of seeing that happen. But so the story for Phantasy Star 2 is set 1,000 years in the future from ISOH Game Ep alum Phantasy Star. So needless to say, some shit has changed and it's for the worse. They close out by saying that it's expensive as fuck, but you can count on months of incredible roleplay action, and the game comes with an extensive tip book for the game. So that's, kind of just like on the Dragon Warrior side, how, like they knew it needed documentation. You know what I mean? Like they needed an additional tool to make this land the way they hoped and wanted it to land, and that's commendable. Like to understand of your product to that degree, and to make the extra effort to make it work is I like that a great deal.
Dude, I had to. They hooked me. I started the game up, so I started it up.
Oh no, we're gonna play this. We're definitely gonna play this.
Started it up. Started talking to people in the town. I realized I need like a strategy guide, and I need to approach this the full right way. So I paused it.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because that's I haven't even I don't even think I've turned on the title screen of 2. Yeah. So it will be a completely new experience for me too when we get there. So the they describe this as, for players who want the near ultimate experience in adventure role play gaming, this is it. And it's interesting that they put that near qualifier in there. Near ultimate experience. Not quite. There's another one that's the ultimate, but this is good. I think it's funny to make that copy choice. So yeah, so the MSRP price is price not available again, but they do know it's expensive. They already said that, and I think that's a funny incongruence. I think, and like it's just like they've been told this like some general like it's just gonna be high. We don't know yet. It's a lot.
Like, don't give an exact number, but maybe give a range. You know what? Don't give a range. Just say it's not available.
Just tell them money is no object when they go buy this game. And then Sega feeds off the hype of that Phantasy Star piece with a three banger ad of their own, and it's in customary fashion for them at the time. We've seen this different iterations of this. It's different every time, so that's cool because usually when you get something like this big 3, like a huge spread. I mean, like you said with the Atari one earlier, the 2-page spread of those games, like we've seen that a bunch of times. You see this a lot, and Sega every month has a new one of these, and that's they must have just been spending so much money on marketing to create these new spreads for a new game every time. So yeah, last time it was Golden Axe in the last issue, I think. So it's the one page of big bold white text on all black, and that reads, "Until now, you needed a computer to play an adventure game as advanced as Phantasy Star 2." And that's easily one of the weakest ones because it's like breaking but usually they're like in the story world more, like that's just like that's very beyond the fourth wall. That writing, you know what I mean? Like that's in the real world, whereas usually there's some sort of, it's not even like it should at least be written in like the syntax.
Yeah, they just switch. They're like, no, we're going hard. We got like all these titles now.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep pushing Phantasy Star 2. Like that's all that matters.
Yep. And then the next page is the usual feature of the game and the copy. Now you don't. There's lots of screenshots. The copy here says the hint book is 110 pages. That's fucking legit. And I badly want to look this up, but I don't want spoilers right now. So that big a book for sure means this is absolutely fine and dandy for a side quest. So the fact that I assumed there was documentation for this. It was, that to me that was a given, but I'd never known that there was a legit like dedicated strategy guide like that, and to hear that it's that expansive. I mean,
wait, for Phantasy Star 2?
Yeah, 110 pages. Yeah, so to say the least, that cements it as an almost certain side quest for it at some point, because that is the exact level of literature availability that we want for those kind of things to really be able to explore both areas of the book and the game is kind of my goal, and when we or what I hoped we would be doing with those side quests when we first with the Dragon Warrior one. So
nice.
Perfect for that. And they have all the usual suspects down below on this ad too: Revenge of Shinobi, Zoom, Ghouls and Ghosts, etc., etc.
And of course, it gave me another reason to pick up Truxton and play that again.
Just going back to try. Every time I see it, I think of you. It's got an X, dude. It's one of those games that's just like C-Cross, Xanax, Xevious. It's the same thing to me, dude. Just like X's and Z's and some space shit. Like I just can't even begin to differentiate them in my mind.
It's fun, but this is a fun one though. This is a fun.
It's 16-bit. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I fucked with it, and I think I was not disgusted. So from there we move on to another Genesis 2 banger on that bad flying shooter with the 2 Terminator knockoff dickheads, Forgotten Worlds, and we've already talked of and dismissed this. The MSRP is $57.99, and that's steep for that game. We get a little TurboGrafx action up next. We got 2 titles: Military Madness, a sci-fi space war strategy sim that was probably cool, and then their port of Space Harrier was also probably not bad. And Jay's Atari Corner is just one measly page, Atari Warriors in the 7800. I've defended the NES port of this tirelessly, Jay. Did this suck?
I did not play it.
Really?
Did not play it. And for all the hype around it, like it's definitely a game that I knew, and I might have messed around with it, but like it's one of those games that, yeah, I'm familiar with it, so it makes me think that I either never ever played it, or I like somehow played it and was just like, meh, like it's not even my memory. So
I mean, I guess again, I'd have to like step into your shoes and look at it through your eyes and your experience to be able to really speak to this. But I guess, I mean, if you loved the Commando port on 7800, I would think that you would just fucking love this because, like, when I think of the Commando, I mean, I don't mind Commando on the NES.
Mhm.
It's not a bad game, but I would much rather play Akari Wars. And and I know, like I said, I've defended the NES port tirelessly, and I know that I am not maybe in the majority in feeling that way about it. A lot of people say negative things about it, but to me, again, the couch co-op aspect of it, and then like the tanks you can pick up in it, and I would much rather play the NES version of Akari Warriors than play the NES version of Commando. So I would think the same level of like, I mean, I don't know. Again, maybe the 7800 one wouldn't have the couch co-op, and like I said, that's a big part of my enthusiasm about it. So I don't know. I was hoping you had played it because I would like to know the comparison between the two from an Atari-minded individual.
I did not, and since we talked about it before, I didn't even think to download it and try it. I feel like I should just check my library right now. I'm like, did I mess around with this to see? But yeah, if so, still not memorable.
Didn't jump out for sure. Yeah, that's a bummer. The MSRP is $34.99, so less than Forgotten Worlds. Probably better too.
Steep for Atari though. Still
Right.
steep. Anything over 30, you're like, oh, 35. Ooh, 35.
I don't know. I know. Can't stop a Dairy Queen on the way home if we get that one.
Like you're talking a third of a Nintendo. Nintendo was like $99. It's like, oh, third of a Nintendo. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can wait. I can go without this and wait. Yep. Then we have that goofy rock and ball game ad, then a Game Boy Pro View for, I believe, the first time in here. We haven't had any Game Boy coverage like this in the Pro View section anyways. We had talk of the Game Boy, but not actual game coverage. And this one, the game, it's so, there's so many, the early Game Boy stuff, so much of it was like these shitty puzzlers that I didn't even notice were happening. But this one's called Quirk the Chilled Tomato. And it's like a one of it's like all the other puzzlers, who knows, almost like a board game looking kind of deal. And the grade school tier art Twin Cobra ad from American Sammy is after that. And then that all carries us to SWAT for some hot tips that the what's her fucking the mailbag doesn't want in here. There's an inordinate amount of Fester's Quest stuff in here. That's the thing maybe I took away from this the most. There's one that reads, "Tired of the music? How about sound effects mode only? Just purposely ram Uncle Fester into a wall, fire rapidly, and press select to pause, then unpause immediately." It's like, that's not a tip. That's like the game's broke.
Why is this a code in here? Why is this something you're trying to do?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I mean, to me, I just took it as
Sunsoft. The music is like probably the best thing about that game.
Like this just seems like a grumpy person type of. Like, what are you doing? You want to remove the whimsy from this game? Get just a hard NES game. Here you go.
Right? Yeah.
Like, who wants that?
Yeah. Were you not quite depressed enough? Would you like to be more depressed about having your parents buy you this game? Here's a tool to do that, to accomplish that. Yeah. There is also a map of the boss buildings in here. So they fucking lied back in mail. They do put maps in here. They're full of fucking shit. Fucking pricks.
Maps.
And they do look like shit too. So I think the only reason it works is because the way that those like 3D, it's the 3D. They're just like, it's not screenshot maps. They're fucking. Yeah. Do they have a screenshot of the thing? I'm not on the page. Do they have a screenshot of what they look like? No, yeah, they're literally just drawn maps. So yeah, so that it further cements my point that they can't. Like it's too much work for them and too expensive to put good screenshot stuff in here. So, good screenshot maps, I mean. So that's why they don't do it.
Hey, but I'll take it. That's extra Fester's Quest stuff.
Oh, for sure. I mean, having these, yeah, because that game is fucking impossible, and I'm almost certain. Well, I know I didn't beat it, and I'm almost certain I didn't have maps. Like when we found the one in Nintendo Power, I was like, "Fuck! I wish I'd have had this," because I definitely did not. That was like, and I think it was the Batman issue right before my first issue, that it was in. So it was just like I missed it by one fucking issue, having that exposure or having that tool. So on more, was there anything in there that fucking other than that Fester's Quest shit?
No, I mean there's a cool Super Hang-On code that I want to try. I mean, I was playing that just preparing for this episode just because it was fun. And I'm like, oh, that's a useful code. So I want to soup the bike from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, the motorcycle game from Genesis. It's not bad. Yeah. Yep. And then, like you almost want to say piggybacking on all the Sunsoft exposure. Like I just mentioned earlier how, I think that there's probably some level of fiscal greasing of the wheels to get, ad feature stuff done, like have a few pages. Like it would be amazing if the level of product placement essentially got as integrated as like a heavy feature or a heavy focus on Fester's Quest in their hot tips thing leading into Sunsoft ads. Like that would be really high level marketing concepts for magazine advertising. But whatever the causation or the reasoning for the order of it, we get the Sunsoft ad for Batman on the NES after this, and then ImageSoft's tired ass Super Dodgeball ad, as much as the theme music is dope that we led into the section with, are peppered in through SWAT here. And the Super Dodgeball ad is citing the game's placing in the Nintendo Power Top 30 back in the November-December issue. And they cite it as the number 12 dealer's pick and the number 29 pros pick. And I mean, sure, like any placement on those lists is worth being proud of. Like I get that. And this is not a big developer, so that all the more reason that you should be excited. But putting the 12th and 29th in an ad is just not particularly captivating marketing. It's just not impressive. Just I don't like, no matter what whatever just behind it, like it just doesn't sound cool. it's
like you could have just said like a top 15 game. Top 15 game. You just could have left it at that.
Yeah, that would look much better for sure. Yeah, the specific numbers. Yeah, the 29 and all on there is rough, especially. Right. Even though, yeah, like I said, if you're a top 30 NES game, like especially that library is getting pretty big now. Like it's cool, but like the thing is, a reader doesn't know that context or doesn't
like off the top of their head.
Yeah, they don't think the context of that. It just sounds like there's 28 other things I should go buy instead.
Like what are 1 through 28? Let me see that list.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like I'll get to you later, maybe, but 28. That's a lot of Nintendo games. I'm probably not going to. Yeah. After these messages,
we'll be right back.
We're about to see a dramatization of True Confessions.
I'm 14. I'm a cocaine addict, and I want to tell my mom, and I want to stop, but I can't.
Real life.
I'm a man, but I love dressing up as a woman. I've even started wearing women's underwear to work. I wish other men are...
Real people.
I slept with my brother-in-law, and I want to do it again. I feel so guilty.
True Confessions. Call 976-6800 anytime to talk or just listen. Call 976-6800. $2 plus toll, if any.
That is a late night 1-900 line commercial for True Confessions, and it is absolutely fucking insane.
What is going on here?
Yeah. Call in and listen to others, or record your own. Like, I don't know, man. I know there are lonely people, lots of them, and I know that was a time when people were even less savvy about technology and privacy and whatever. But there's just, what human being, get out of here with that cooing shit. What human being is possibly calling in and recording their own? Like, I guess I can maybe psychologically grasp the voyeuristic nature of listening to others, which I don't know. Like, I want to say you got to be a moron to believe that any of them aren't contrived, whatever, like written, recorded, not actual, whatever. But like paying a 1-900 number fee to sit at home and do that? Like, what kind of maniac gets enjoyment from that? Like, what psychopath? You know, that should be a fucking like a, I don't know, like a, that should be like a FBI fucking tool or something to find psychopaths and get them off the streets. Like, anyone calling that should be on a list. you know what I mean? Like, that should be fucking, you are a red flag, man. You need to go to your neighbor's house and announce that you live here. Like, you need to go door to door in your neighborhood and inform them that you are a resident of their neighborhood, because everyone needs to keep an eye on you. Yeah, man, like, that is fucking crazy. And there are just, on that channel, man, I just cannot stress, there are so many of these confession lines on there. Man, like, what in the fuck? Like, what the fuck was going on there, man? Like, that they, it's clearly the fact that there were that many of them, different ones.
Must have been working.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. There was demand for these, or there would not have been. They would not have existed. And they would not have been buying that late night fucking 1-900 commercial, those commercial spots. So, holy shit, man! I can't believe we made it to 2021 if this was happening in the 90s. Like, I can't believe humanity made it here. I really can't. I am just blown away. And yeah, that, again, I just can't stress going to that link in the show notes for the fucking, checking out that YouTube channel. It's unreal. It's absolutely unreal to me. Back to GamePro 8. We have a page of reader tips and a couple of ads we've seen. The ISOH Game App. Why can't I say that today? ISOH Game App alum River City Ransom and that crazy ass chiller ad that we've seen. Those start us off here, and the reader tips are pretty boring. Nothing means anything to me in there. I don't know how you feel about those.
Yeah, pretty the same.
Yeah, nothing doing. And then we get a new Toys R Us full pager that is fan-fucking-tastic. And it's so 90s. It hurts. It's so 90s. The tagline is Nintendo, all the accessories to make your system sing. And it is a very excited ginger kid going full tilt on his NES Advantage, which is very well drawn, I might add. The artwork of the NES Advantage is very satisfying to me. It's a proper representation of it. And that is alongside an actual product picture of the greatest controller in home console gaming history. So we have double NES Advantage action here, which of course is going to get me going. And they also have the power pad pictured, an official Nintendo licensed cleaning kit, a zapper, and an NES Max joypad here. And there's a Starfield background just to really dial up the 90s aesthetic all the way. And it's great in every way. It's just like it might be a perfect piece of, I don't know, whatever we're going to summate a page of one of the, like, whatever adjective we want to use to describe a standalone page in the literal thousands that we have and will continue to go through in these magazines. It is a perfect page. You know what I mean? It has everything. Even the fact that it's Toys R Us of all companies behind the advertisement. It's just in every way it is perfect.
You're definitely like, Mom, can we go to Toys R Us?
Anyway, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mom,
I got my piggy bank.
Like, Mom, Toys R Us.
but wait, we have to talk about this. What is this Max joypad? Like, it looks like a precursor to like the current Xbox controllers or something. But like from the sounds of our Facebook page, it wasn't very good. I don't think I've ever seen this thing. Like this.
Really? I was just gonna say,
I've never used this.
How are you speaking? Yeah, you're speaking of it in a foreign way. I'm like, how? That was like the NES Advantage and NES Max came out together as kind of like that was like their, I don't know, the Power Pad came out a little later. That was like their first wave of proprietary accessories were those two coming out. Yeah, I mean, this is what, I mean, we've talked about it a bunch of times before, and it's funny to me that we've had these conversations. You didn't realize this is what we were talking about. Ted had two of them. I have the two now, and I I hate them. They're like the thing that they're, and yes, like it's funny.
What
like,
is the thumb thing? Is it like a stick, like a?
No, yes, yeah, it's like, dude, it's so weird, dude. It's like, so it's like a slidey. It like it's on a, it's like a little,
Oh, one of
it's like a
those
little
slidey
plastic disc,
things.
yeah, that slides around there, so you can like. But dude, it is so awful. It's terrible. Like, I don't care. Like, to me, you plug it in, and like no matter how many times, and like I'll still do it to this day. It's almost like the X-Men thing, kind of, where you're just like, no matter how many times you've been wronged, you still try to enjoy it. And like, plug it in, and like, hey, Max, funny, da da da, fucking drum, fucking riff thing, like. Max amount of time you're going to spend doing that thing, in my opinion, is 30 seconds. And you're like, fuck this. And you just, so the little black ring around it is essentially just it is just a directional pad. So you can use that too and not diddle with the red thing in the middle at all. So what's the fucking point of having this thing in your hand then, right? You can just use the other one. Now, it also has the turbo buttons, which are cool. They don't have the advantage functionality of changing, like turning them on and off, or, I mean, it's a separate button, so you wouldn't need to turn them off, but
Right.
it doesn't have the speed control that the NES Advantage does, so that's obviously superior, it goes without saying. But just the actual ergonomics of those turbo buttons. So like the red buttons are like the normal NES. It's just like the standard controller where they have kind of like a little bit of a that's concave, right? There's a little bit of a concaveness to them. So there are, I mean, you know, it's Nintendo. You still get Nintendo thumb from this thing, just like any controller. But it's not as bad because it has the depression, you know, and just I mean, it's all hard plastic, but it feels, maybe it is just literally the contour of the concave thing that is the difference, and it has nothing to do with the actual material, but it feels better to me on my thumb than, so the turbo buttons are like this, they're like smaller and they're convex, so it's not depressed, so it's like these little smaller gray fucking, like, you know, it's clearly an exaggeration slash, yeah, it's an exaggeration to say little daggers sticking out of it, but like it's like literally, I mean, you like, if you were really jamming on those buttons, it sucks, man. It sucks. They feel so, it just fucks your thumb up so bad, man. Yeah, they're terrible controllers. They're smaller. I mean, I guess they're probably the same size as the NES standard. Maybe they're not smaller, but they feel a little smaller to me, and I fucking hate them. Yeah, Ted had two of them, and that's like Jabs made the joke. Like, if we, you know, we're in a situation where it was just one and one of those, like if we had one in standard NES controller for whatever reason, or that's what was plugged in, you know, maybe it was just we had other controllers, but this wasn't plugged in or whatever. Like, this is definitely, if there was one NES standard controller and one NES Max plugged into the NES, this, I would absolutely pull the shithead Big Brother card and be like, fuck you, you're using that Max. You know, like, that's absolutely, it's no question in my mind a lesser controller. Yeah. And there was like, I mean, I got to do a thing when I was back. I remember because of the context of it, I was back when I was back home in April for that fucked up family shit. Like, that's when I listened to, again, mentioned them twice on here, press me to cancel, but they did a thing on Nintendo peripherals, and they went through, and like, I got into a Twitter argument with the one dude because he hated the NES Advantage and liked the NES Max, and I'm like, are you fucking psychotic? Like, that's an insane thing to say to me. Like, you're fucking out of your mind to say that. They can't even be, like, it makes me upset to even speak of them in the same sentence. You know,
That's so funny to me.
Yeah.
I never had any of these legit accessories. Like, I had some weird, like, plastic pad which you put your controller in, and therefore your controller couldn't move, so you had to then like press with your fingers, so it was weird. Like, so I didn't have any legit accessories at all.
Is that the one with the little joystick you could screw into the directional?
It was just no, you couldn't even do that. It was just, yeah. So in reverse move, I now have like 6 different like Series X controllers of different colors and styles, and like making up for it now.
Yeah, I would say living your best life now that you have control over that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So that's all that cool shit's featured. Even the cleaning kit excites me. It's like the official cleaning kit. Like, I had a cleaning kit. It wasn't this one, but I remember my cleaning kit, and like, even that, like, yeah, you know, even as a young kid, I was still like, gotta make this shit gotta keep it in mint condition, you know, like, little fucking psychopath. So you mentioned it already, but I mentioned it in the Facebook post, but I could genuinely masturbate to this ad, and I think. And yeah, the advantages presence is probably the reason for that, not the ginger kid. That's worth pointing out. But this ad is absolutely crushing it on our Facebook page, and there's a ton of dialogue on there about you. And there's people on there that some of them are shitting. A lot of them, I say, maybe the majority of them are shitting on the Max, but there are some people on there that like it, and like it's funny how so much of that is just probably just what they had as a kid, and there's like they're emotionally latched onto it, and there's nostalgia bullshit going on. But it's everything on here is fantastic. And, a lot to look at. Moving on, the Ask the Pros section comes next, and we have Alien Syndrome and Aztec for the SMS, then Thunder Force 2 for Genesis here, so it's all Sega all the time. And like they're all just kids saying this is hard. Please help is really all these things are. It's not really. I don't
Pretty
know.
much.
Yeah, they're not. There's no specificity to what they're requesting of the pros here, and I just thought that was funny.
No.
And I didn't ever recall hearing of the Aztec Adventure, so that was one that I was like, ooh, haven't seen that for SMS. And like at this point, we're kind of out of new SMS titles. Like that was also part of the reason why I fucked with Golden Axe. I was just like, I don't know if it might be the last one I ever play. You know what I mean? So like, I'll take a whack at it and see what happens. But I was looking at this, and I didn't download it. I just looked at the play vid. It looks like a top-down Legend of Zelda clone. Like that is of course way shittier.
Naturally. Yeah.
So I was just no fucking way moving on. But that is in here. Maybe you're an Aztec Adventure enthusiast, maybe get a little hot tip here from the pros. After that we have a new full pager from Hudson Soft after that, and it's for fucking Xevious or Zevis or however the fuck
Xexies
that you could possibly think to pronounce that random assortment of letters. And we already touched on this. It's just space game, X's and Z's. Fuck all these. The short pro shots is up next, and this is previews. And there was nothing in here at all. I got my biscuits burning. Did any of these do
Not
anything?
a single freaking thing, man. Like it's funny to me because like I love the current generation like games that you can play, like Trivial Pursuit on Xbox, or Monopoly. Like I've played those and they're fun. Like
I haven't even thought to look at those on there.
Dude,
yeah, I like board games too. Yeah, I mean
those are fun. Risk is a good one, like that we've played on there. Like Zion's beat me twice. Like
Risk would be fantastic if you don't have to set it up. That's the shittiest part about Risk.
Yes. Get it. Let's do it. We'll play online.
I play Risk.
But it's funny that those are exciting and these are not.
Shit while you play Risk. You could do other shit while you play Risk. It's turn-based, so like you don't even need to like focus on that entirely. You could absolutely just have a game running. So yeah, I'm down for that. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, it's interesting that those games are so fun and exciting, but like dialing it back to this era, I'm just not even interested at all.
Yeah, they're not terrible.
No win, lose, or draw on NES.
Yeah, exactly. Not that. Although I remember like I don't know if it was Pictionary. There was one of them that I remember having in like Anticipation. Maybe it was. I don't know. There were some of the like I remember. Back then, again, keep this. At this point, some of these concepts we're just kicking a dead horse to the shit out of a dead horse with some of these things we talk about because they just keep popping up, and some of that's the developer. The shit it just keeps happening. They're just drumming this shit out constantly. We either ignore it or keep repeating ourselves. But anyways, I remember, if you could go back and look at them from the time, like I think. You might be surprised because I do remember fucking with some of these, like Monopoly. I remember playing on the NES. Like I said, we used to play the shit out of the PC version of Monopoly from this era. Jab and I would just sit there and So I mean, back then, again, it probably not horrible. Some of these, not all of them. I'm sure some of them are so shitty, but what have you. So we go from this to a very fun section that I'm really enjoy every time we get one of these. We have the Pro Artist Series. And the prompt for submissions here was design your own hero, and the winner was fucking awesome, dude. Did you really look at what this all was?
I don't think I looked at it like in detail.
Dude, so Frank Sudol.
I just thought they were bugs. I was like, all right, you got a bunch of bugs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the art is cool too. But if you look at what this really, I mean, his name is Frank Sudol of Sussex, New Jersey. He's age 14, mind you. Keep this in mind for all this explanation. He has sent in. And maybe this part of this is my fucking line of work. But he sent in an entire fucking graphic novel / video game proposal lookbook for an idea called Insect Invasion. It's not just a piece of artwork with a hero. He sent in, I mean, it's anthropomorphic insect warriors is kind of like the motif of this, right? And he has a full key art thing. That's what that big picture is. He has a character breakdown. So like individual drawings of all the characters and like little explanations of how they fit into the story world. And then a screen mock-up in the top right of like the video game UI. And then also an item power-up breakdown with actual artwork for them. So like
he's got his own NES like Nintendo Power spread.
Right, exactly, right. Yeah, exactly. He's got a fucking Nintendo Power spread here for game. And like think about that. At 14, dude, like you know,
dude, I was doing that kind of stuff all the time. I respect that for sure.
You were doing it this professionally?
100%. Like, well, I'm not saying my art was like that. I mean, I was amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Jab.
They would call me Picasso.
I get the fuck dig it. I don't care. Call mom and dad, dig it the fuck out. I want to see this level of thoroughness for a full-on video game. If you have this,
let's get mom involved.
Yeah, because if that's the case, one, the fucking listeners need to see it immediately just out of entertainment factor. But two, that'll blow my mind. Like I think it is so mind-blowing that a 14-year-old back then too, and it's one thing, you know, like you talked, like Zion is fucking into this shit, right? And she, you know, there's tools available to her to teach her what this stuff should look like. And like, you know, I don't know. This kid's in New Jersey. Maybe he has an uncle or a parent or something that happens to work in some sort of line of work where this level of like he could be exposed to the system that one uses to develop an IP idea. So basically that he would be exposed and have the skeleton framework to design this within, you know, and know kind of everything that he would need to present this properly in like an adult professional way. You know, maybe that's that's a remote possibility, but I think it's highly unlikely. So like again, to me, it's not so much I'm not like the artwork is cool, and it would, you know, probably be cool even if it were just this piece of key art. I would probably still think it's cool. But to me, what blows me away is like again the professional, all-encompassing presentation of the idea. It's like you could walk into a room of fucking professional decision makers and convey an idea to them with these tools. And at 14, to me, that's crazy.
100%. You could be like, they could be like, yo, we have another issue due in a week. So do one of these for this.
Precisely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's fucking, yeah, it's just so well done. I'm just so blown away by it. So yeah, very cool. The second place is also pretty fun. I think it's a submission from a 23-year-old though. That's much less impressive. But in Wallaceburg, Canada. So GamePro showing off its international circulation here with this one. But the guy's name is Don Alexander, and he cooked up this game called Bad Motor Scooter that has kind of comedic vibe to it. It's a nerd on a scooter, and you know, it's just the key art kind of just showing some of the story world around him. So again, even like a decade older, and this is the best. The best one is from someone who is a decade older, and there's not even like a glimmer of the thoroughness that first one, that the Insect Invasion one has from the 14-year-old. You know, so again, just so fucking impressive that I think. And they also, as they always do here at the end, they give you the prompt for the next Pro Artist series thing. And so this one is for, of course, logically, Phantasy Star 2. So break out your colored pencils and get to work, Lorik disciples. We want to see your subs for fucking Phantasy Star 2. And then we have GamePro swag catalog in order form before we get to the Pro News section. And it's funny, we're sitting here watching E3 while we do this. Oh, it looks like it just ended actually. But
all done.
They are talking 1990 Winter Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, baby, as the start here. And it's pretty fucking wild. The NEC one can just straight up play the home console game cards, you know? Like, I don't know if you clocked that one. That's pretty impressive. The handheld. I mean, they're pointing out the handhelds to start with from both NEC and Sega, and they mentioned that the NEC one can you literally just take the game out of your home console. I mean, this is like Nintendo Switch level shit if you think about it. Just literally. I mean, you can't grab it and keep playing the actual game you're playing, but for 1990, it's pretty fucking close. So yeah, you can. It plays the game cards of the home console on the handheld, and that's fucking not having to buy. Yeah, not having to buy a whole new library. Like, I can't believe it didn't take off in a bigger way.
Well, that was the dream. Think about all the attempts there were. Like, even like Super Game Boy, which was like, oh, I can take my Game Boy, but it's still a different game. Like, it's still not the same. Right. So many attempts, early attempts. People could see it.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, almost got the idea. Almost got it figured out. So they also have a UK company, Codemaster. Mentioned here, has developed an audio CD player for the NES, and I was like, what? Like, I never heard of that before. That's fucking new. So Samsung is manufacturing the hardware here, it says, and then Cam America is distributing starting in summer of 1990. And I repeat, what?
I don't recall this device.
Yeah, and like that's something that you think would have just been fucking tattooed throughout Nintendo Power if it were an actual thing. So yeah, did you look around to try to find? Like, I could find next to nothing on this.
It clearly never happened.
Precisely, yeah. So I did yeah, right. Yeah, I did find a bunch of shit on Camerica though, and this is a Canadian outfit that made a lot of unlicensed NES peripherals, most notably the Game Genie, right? So I guess they partnered with Galoob. So yes, they did a lot of unlicensed things that would become big NES things. So then this article then goes on to mention another Camerica product called the Power Pack. And I'm going to read the exact copy here because I think it's the best way to convey this idea. This innocent-looking Nintendo interface hooks onto your favorite Nintendo cartridge and then plugs into your unit. What it does next is what's really unusual. When you buy your interface, you'll receive a booklet of codes. A password entry screen appears, and you enter codes that actually change the parameters of the game. And correct, listeners, this is the fucking Game Genie. So yeah, hadn't been named the Game Genie yet, So it's funny that I was doing the research and I was like, oh, it's coming to the Game Genie. Okay. And then I'm reading the thing and I'm like parsing that. I'm like, oh, that's the fucking Game Genie. Yeah, it was funny to me.
No wonder.
So the rest of this is just teasing games hitting the Genesis and TurboGrafx. Nothing really worth mentioning there. Just games coming out. And was there anything in there that jumped out to you? The Pro News worth news? That's kind of it. Like, there's just games. I don't know.
Yeah, no games that were kind of moving the needle.
Yeah. And there is an ad from Sega breaking Pro News up. And it, like, just as we said, we might have seen that Toys R Us one, the greatest ad in any video game magazine to date. This might be the worst. Like, it's for, I mean, there's a Game Boy title called Q Billion, which is, again, just like another puzzler. And then a couple of really generic ass NES games we'd heard of the Tom Sawyer. We've seen that before just because it's, such a prominent historical IP in Tom Sawyer. But there's that, and then Castle of the Dragon. And we talked about Tom Sawyer, fuck that. But Castle of the Dragon was new. I hadn't seen that before. And the screenshots do not look hot. And to be honest, I'm not even entirely sure. Are these screenshots? Like, are they illustrations? Like again, just going back to the quality of this ad. Like, I'm not even sure that I'm looking at screenshots. But and I'm talking. I zoomed in on them, and I'm still not sure. Like, not just me. Like, I can't see them because they're fucking small on my screen right now. Like, when I was going through the mag originally, I'm like, I'm not sure. So yeah, horrible ad.
I thought this was just an ad for like random things. I completely blew past it. Like, clock that they were video games. I was like, like it's not even like a fun ad. I was like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah. I also too was going to dismissively just blow by these, but like a good little podcasting video game historian, I dutifully looked at a play vid of Castle of the Dragon before moving on, and the game doesn't look great. It's not amazing looking, but it's definitely not a trash fire. There was some good artwork, and a cutscene action deal at the top that I was kind of appreciative of. And there's medieval fantasy, as you'd expect, as far as the theming goes, and that is, something that gets me going a little bit. And the title theme was absolute fucking fire, man. Again, not great, but it looked 100% playable, and I don't say that about any. It's a side-scrolling action platformer. I don't say that about just any side-scrolling action platformer. Like, it looked pretty decent, you know. Again, it's like some of these, like we've talked. I think the one I think of amazingly to me is I think an SMS title, The Pirate. Do you remember the Pirate SMS game where it was legitimately like there was only like 2 areas, like even though we have a whole screen, there's only like 2 tracks for the. And like no things in between. It's just literally you're on the ground the whole time. But there's like 2 tracks that enemies can come at you on. So like you're either jumping and hitting them or whacking them at ground level, you know? And like so you can have that in like a bad action platform will often have that, where it's like a very limited way that you can be presented danger, you know? And that's what I expected this to kind of be like. And it even looked like it at first, but like the more I watched, like there was some variance to it, and like the actual sword play didn't look too bad. You know, so probably not something we could really swallow as far as a game app thing. But again, looking at the ad, it's way fucking better looking than what I expected it to be. We have a Tecmo full pager following that up, and up top they're telling you in 1990 Tecmo is bringing the fire. Ninja Gaiden 2, Tecmo World Wrestling, and Bad News Baseball. We already got into the wrestling title in a previous episode. We've talked about that, but and of course the Ninja Gaiden sequel is eagerly anticipated, not quite out yet, but goes without saying is something that we are excited about, and everyone else was at the time. And I'd never heard of the Bad News Baseball though. Did you ever heard of that game? And it's Tecmo. Like I thought like I knew everything that Tecmo did, you know, from this era. So I was surprised to not even be kind of like never even heard of it, you know.
The name I recall, but just seeing that like without a screenshot, I'm like, I don't know what this is.
Oh yeah, the reason the name seems familiar is because Bad News Bears. That's what you're thinking of. Like that's my assumption or my conjecture is that that's actually what your subconscious is telling you you're familiar with.
You're probably right.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause, you know, obviously big comedy film line that they've done. There was like it's probably the early 80s, maybe late 70s. There was the original film, and they've done a rehash. Billy Bob Thornton was in. It's probably funny because he's fucking great, but I've never seen it. I've never just really that was something too. We've talked about how like dad stuff that fucking our dads were into, and like I just like he would talk about it all the time and like mention it in positive light, and I was like tried to watch, and I was like, this sucks. You know, it's like not in line with you, dad, on this at all. But that's one of those things that fall into that category. So this hits in June, and we'll see what it's like then. The Moby's game listing doesn't look like it's humoristic at all. It looked kind of, I don't know, it's kind of even hard to describe based on what I was looking at on the Moby Games listing. So further into this ad, they follow up those kind of like teasing things by saying that in 1989, Tecmo brought you 2 top 10 smash hits. Good marketing, as opposed to specific 29 number, you know. So right. that's the right wording for that kind of thing. And of course, it goes without saying that top 10 sounds better than top 30, but you know, just knowing the tonality of how an ad should be, it seems like Tecmo here has a better grasp on it, I think. But they are talking about Ninja Gaiden and Tecmo Bowl, neither of which we've done a game up on yet. ... Tecmo games, hard to beat, and what a fucking apropos double entendre tagline that is for them and their Nintendo hard Ninja Gaiden bullshit, you know. So I acknowledged and appreciated that they, you know, there was a self-awareness of what those games were at that time, you know, at that time. And you probably can't say that about you can't yeah, still are. You're right. But you probably can't say that about all third-party developers, that they had that level of self-awareness, you know. And understanding of like the Ninja Gaiden was fucking borderline impossible, you know, but like, proud of it, you know what I mean? Like they're not, it's not like, even though some of it does lie in like just bad mechanics and like respawning fucking you and stuff like that, they're like owning up to it and being like, yep, that's our game. You know, that's how it is. And that's kind of cool. And there is a handful of tired ads we've seen, and the next issue tease, and we out.
That was the Ninja Gaiden prologue theme, bringing us into our nominations, and I think we're going to have some interesting nominations this time.
Yeah, I feel like there's nothing like major set pieces in that magazine that are game episode compatible, I guess is probably the best way to put it. So yeah, I think both of ours. I expect both of ours to be just like, oh, didn't think that was gonna, So yeah, I think I went first last time. So let's hear yours.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of mine you're gonna be like, what? So the first one, Truxton. I mean, on the Genesis, it's the best flying shooter. Like seeing it in the magazine again, I picked it up and was playing it again. Like it was like that's what happens because it's fun. Yeah, it's a fun flying shooter. I love that genre. What do you want me to do? Like, yeah.
Okay. I don't have any like particularly disparaging things to say about it. So.
Yeah, the second one, Twin Cobra.
What is Twin Cobra?
So it's a flying shooter.
NES. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Is that? I'm thinking Cobra Triangle or something like that. The boat racing one is Cobra Triangle or some shit.
Yeah, no, not that one. I mean, am I expecting greatness? No. Am I expecting fun? Yeah, I should hope so. You know.
I think that was the one the ad was terrible for. Not quite as bad as that one towards the end, but it was a pretty bad ad.
Yeah, it did not do a great job in selling it like the other ones. And then my third one, Fester's Quest.
Motherfucker.
Now, I'd never beat it. I liked it. We've got tips. We got some maps.
We have a lot of tips now. We have a ton of tips. Much to what's her fuck's malign. Oh, that's definitely the one that is interesting to me the most. I had it too. Yeah, I had the cart. I have the cart. I think I've reclaimed it, even though it's.
Trust me, it's like going through this mag. I was like, what am I even going to like want to play? Like, there's such like what's here, but these games I would play.
Yeah, but all mine are reaches from like. Well, no, there's some variant. I shouldn't say that. I won't preface them with any sort of anything. So that one's interesting to me, man. That's interesting to me. That's interesting to me. Okay, so mine are Road Blasters, that racing game. That I liked.
Interesting.
And it was fun. Probably not a particularly compelling game episode. Maybe. I don't know. It was just a game that I enjoyed, and like I just like I don't know what your system is for doing these, but like I make my list as I go, and then like once it's full and I find something new, I just delete the old thing. Right? So that's the order I did it in. So like the reason it's probably still there is because it was the first one I put on there, and I only got to 3 total, so I never deleted anything. You know what I mean? So that is probably part of why it's still there because I just don't know if it's. Like I said, I don't know how compelling it'll be to talk about. It's just. Running around racing, I don't know, whatever. Then the next one, Revenge of Shinobi. They had the most minute appearance in the Genesis 3-pager, so that's how that got.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So that I already pitched that one as a game up, and I think it'll be fun for sure, and gets us some Genesis action. And then my last one, it's funny. That's why all the more reason why your Fester's Quest one was funny to me because I also went Sunsoft, Batman.
Batman.
Yeah, for NES.
Oh, we did see Batman.
Yeah. Another Sunsoft ad. So,
Oh, yeah. I recommended that a while back. Oh,
yeah. And that's, I think we've talked about, we had the cover feature. We had the cover feature too. So, yeah, we have a good mag piece to work with, and talk about maybe if we want to recall it. And that's always good to have as supporting evidence for our game episodes. So that's compelling, but we also do have a lot of Fester's Quest shit. And, Fester's Quest is kind of, I didn't beat it either. It's borderline fucking impossible on the hardware, that's the thing. It's funny. Like whenever I have the cart, right, I'm like, okay, I'm going to play it OG style. I don't think I'll play that one. If we do that, I don't think I'll stop. I think I'm going to save state my way through that one. So that's fun too, because I'll be able to stream it if I do that, and that's cool. And again, we have the mag stuff for it to support when I do that. Yeah, man. I almost just want to say so I didn't finish that thought. So yeah, I mean that is one because I didn't beat it, and it's like that's probably a the whole goal, like Tyson's Punch Out, of like things I want to check off my childhood to-do list. Like that absolutely satiates one of those because I never even came close, And it's Sunsoft, like as much of a dumpster fire as it is, and like all the terrible things that get said about it and how impossible it is, like that punitive aspect of how it dumps you back at the beginning. Clearly, we circumvent that with emulation and safe stating and stuff, so that goes away. So that biggest gripe isn't even a factor. It's probably still hard, even with
somehow I still have positive feelings about it despite all of that. Like, I'm still like, yeah, Festus Quest.
Yeah, exactly. It's Sunsoft, man. It's not like they didn't make bad games back then. Like just like truly bad. Like yes, there are things about it that suck, particularly compared to some of their other fire ass library, like Blaster Master. Like I got fucking Amy brought back from that. Yeah, those cards that I took a photo of, Chippendales Rescue Rangers and Blaster Master. She was back in New York this past week. Just first time seeing her family since COVID shit and her parents. And I guess she was over at a friend's house or something, and they were like moving or cleaning up or something. And she like literally sends me a box of shit, like a picture. She's like, "Do you want any of this?" They're just throwing this away or something. And I'm like, "Yeah, what are those NES games?" Like some of them were stacked on top of each other. I'm like, "Fucking spread them out. I can't see what they are." and fucking yeah, two of them were Blaster Master and Chippendales. Like, fuck yeah, bring those fucking back. Yeah. So, anyways, Blaster Master is fucking fire. Batman is fucking fire, and like even as like Platoon's terrible, really, I guess. But like, there's still a lot of redeeming value qualities to it. Like all their games have something going on them. Usually great music, usually great graphics. Like I said, Platoon's bad gameplay wise, but yeah, they don't. Like, there's no question. It's not. There's things that are worth exploring in it, and talking about. So, yeah, man. Like I kind of like. I think I want to. I think I want to do that. And like Batman's not going away too. But Fester's Quest probably isn't going away either. And neither is Revenge of Shinobi. So that's to be said about all of them probably. But Batman, without a doubt, will just never go away. Probably. We'll probably be seeing that in the mags till we stop. Till we get off NES. Till NES stuff is not there, we will probably see Batman appearances and ads and shit. So we're not going to miss.
I should hope so.
Yeah, we're not going to miss playing that by skipping it over now. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not on that. You want to do that?
Dun, 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 dun.
right.
The right music. I don't remember.
That did you nail? That's fucking absolutely it. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I can't wait to post the fucking that. I think I've already posted before on the fucking Facebook page before. But yeah, the opening fucking cutscene of sorts of that, and then the music ripping in is like one of the better just overall AV audiovisual presentations on the NES. Like Fester sitting in front of the thing in the background, the UFO comes down, he's sitting on the lounge chair and his glasses pop up, and then the music rips in and the title treatment jumps up. It's like it looks beautiful, sounds fantastic. Yeah, I mean it's a really. And when you find, I mean, I'm sure you remember, like in the game when you find I remember the thing, again, not just, inventories and shit up, it goes without saying, I've mentioned a million times, I'm into that stuff. But like, so yeah, you're acquiring all the items and shit that help you do stuff in the game. But when you encounter them, you meet the other family members, like they're in the houses, so you see when you meet Wednesday or bump into Wednesday and Lurch and or Gomez and Morticia and all them, like you like go through and you find all them, and like that was for some reason, because like when you go into the house, it's like a really good pixel art rendition of those characters comes on screen, so just another really great artwork instance, and there's a bunch of them in the game. So yeah, it's like the bosses are fucking cool, and the just like Blaster Master, which is like the all black screen and the huge boss sprites, that you battle with in the rooms. And it's got the 3D thing going. Yeah, there's just a ton of cool shit in the game that if we can get around the shitty aspects of it, maybe circumvent them via emulation, will probably be a very enjoyable experience. Word! All right, let's fucking do that. That's the next game episode. That will probably take us longer than 2 weeks, given I won't be able to play it for the next week, but I look forward to it. And you can subscribe to the pod on the platform provided by whatever dumbass company that serves up your pottery. Please rate and leave positive shit for the pod on whatever platform you listen to. If you do enjoy our nonsense, and the website is nyhentertainment.com/ISOH pod. Email us at isohpodcast@gmail.com. follow the pod and banter with us on the Facebook page and subreddit and talk shit to us about our gameplay videos on the YouTube, and the links to all those will be in the show notes. And I finally got the Instagram up and running, so that is now a thing. If that's where you like to consume your social media bullshit, we have a presence there, and we'll be, everything goes to our Facebook page will also be there now. That's the beauty of even starting in the first place. Or the reason I started in the first place is just because it's not any more work for me. So there'll be probably a pretty good dialogue in there. And we don't have a Patreon, but if you like giving money to things podcasters tell you to and would like to do so at our direction, the Able Gamers Foundation creates custom gaming rigs for gamers with disabilities, and that's cool as fuck. AbleGamers.org is where you can find them. And we have our T-shirts now if you want to grab those, because that also does help the AbleGamersFoundation.org after we pay for our shit. That keeps this podcast afloat. And Jay, what are your socials?
Gentleman JB without the second E. That's where you can find me pretty much everywhere.
You can find me on Twitter at Josh Folan, on Instagram at my shift key is broke. My gamer tag is 2 Minute Todd. Okay, bye.
Bye.